That's great.
It's going to be great.
That's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
That's going to be.
Hey there, and welcome back to the Bro 4 Squad podcast. This is, you've guessed it, another one of our world-famous movie commentaries. I'm your host, Jeff Hornacek. Alongside me, a special team of bros today. We have Matt Geiger and our legal counsel coming back in off the bench, Ronnie Cycli. We are going to dive into Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. The quote you just heard was from our Lord, our Führer, our director, our writer, Mr. George Lucas. Guys, typically when we do these movies, we like to nitpick a few things, but again, I think we have a perfect film here. It's going to be tough to find anything wrong. Geiger, I mean, like, where do we even make any corrections on this? It's a piece of art.
Before I start with that, happy birthday to Brian Banner, who couldn't be here with us tonight because he's at a basketball game. And also, our producer, Alex English, couldn't be here because he has to spend the whole night figuring out how the Panthers could possibly get in the playoffs. So, going back to Episode 1, not very much wrong with this movie at all. We might nitpick a couple things. To be completely honest,
Like
though,
the lighting
we'll
or
probably
something.
tear this shit apart. But whenever they do something good, we'll reward it. It's like our, if we have three sons and one of them sucks at sports, you're going to totally bury them, but you are going to say maybe a couple things.
But you'll put, like, his paintings on the fridge because he sucks.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll show up to the science fair once a year or something.
Yeah, you'll make an appearance. So, Cycli, I know that this film is sacred in your household. What are your thoughts right before we dive right into it?
I mean, however you feel about this film, can we all admit that this movie led to one of the greatest video games of all time, pod racing?
That is true.
Grand Theft Auto?
64. I mean, it doesn't matter how you feel about this movie. Pod racing is one of the greatest things to ever.
Also, Jedi
Yeah,
Power
yeah,
Battles on the original PlayStation was pretty sick, too. If you guys ever played that.
Okay, yeah.
So the way this works, we are going to comment along with the movie as you guys watch it with us. Right now, we have it paused on the screen where it says, "A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away." So if you want to pause your screen right there to sync up with us, we are going to press play in 3, 2, 1. May the Force be with you. Wow. So good so far. Now, whether you like this movie or not, you can't deny that as a kid seeing this in, 1999 or whenever it came out, it was kind of fucking cool when it first started. Because you didn't know it was about to suck.
And you know what? As a kid, this movie did not suck. I will stand by that forever. I don't care what reviewers say. We grew up at the perfect time when this movie came out. It was perfect to us.
And, like, a lot of the stuff is cool. Like, the lightsaber battles are awesome. They are way better than, obviously, the originals. I think, at least.
I mean, I definitely understand.
With this, you'll see it here in a sec, but it says, hold on, I overfilled my beer, I'm sorry. Excuse me. But it says 2 Jedi Knights. Technically, Obi-Wan isn't a Jedi Knight quite yet. Yoda makes him that at the end of this movie.
Yeah, stops the movie dead in its fucking tracks. What are we even
Sorry,
talking
I have
about?
to nitpick something since we're going to hooray this movie the whole time, because George Lucas ran a pretty clean ship as it comes to directing.
That.
Gotta wake up pretty early in the morning to sneak one by George Lucas.
Yeah, no shit. He probably gets up at 4, though, but he goes to bed at like 5 in the afternoon.
Yeah. I have a list of some fun facts about 5 of them, 6 of them that I'll be throwing out throughout the movie. So if you're listening at home, I mean, fucking pay attention.
I haven't seen this movie since a year ago because, as tradition, you have to watch all of them before you go see one at midnight, opening night. And the prequels are kind of like herpes. They never go away except for maybe a month or two, and then they come back on TBS right before a fucking new movie is thrown up there. It's pretty much what the prequels are like.
But you can't look away. I mean, can you be honest? The episode 1's on TV or
it's like
something.
herpes.
You're going to keep it on there.
Absolutely. Just like herpes. I can't look away from herpes
Yeah,
also.
it's exactly like herpes.
You said you made a herpes.
I don't think I've ever had a big problem to not look at herpes as much as you guys, I'm going to be honest.
Geiger did just say that herpes is on TBS in his analogy. I don't know if that's a show or if a lot of people that work there have it?
I think it comes after Big Bang Theory syndication.
Now, did you guys think this was C-3PO when you first saw it?
Since I was in 1999, what was I, 11, 12? I was probably still like bitching that I didn't have enough butter on my popcorn at this point and being like, oh my god, I'm about to see a Jedi fight scene.
Yeah.
I was gripping my armrests, I think, in excitement the whole movie.
So, Qui-Gon Jinn, I'll throw out my first fact here. We'll spread these out. So, there were a few other people considered for the role of Qui-Gon Jinn. Some names that might surprise you. I'm going to read off 4 names here. This is according to IMDb. Denzel Washington, Tom Hanks, which I could never fucking see, Morgan Freeman, and then I think maybe the best other choice here is Kurt Russell. We're all considered for the role.
Tom Hanks would do it because it's not about somebody flying a plane that died or something. Denzel wouldn't do it because the script sucks. Same with Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
I could have seen Russell Crowe do it because this is post-Gladiator.
Kurt Russell. Snake Plissken.
Oh, I like where he's going with this. Let's talk about Russell Crowe in this.
I'm with you now.
Role. Come on.
It was Kurt Russell, not Russell Crowe.
I'm still sticking with Russell Crowe because I like that idea.
Yeah, I like Russell. Yeah, I like Russell Crowe better.
How embarrassed do you think George Lucas is right now? First, the mess up in the scroll, and now he didn't get Russell Crowe to be Qui-Gon. I mean, this is embarrassing.
Now, these guys are obviously a racist Asian caricature, right? Lord Sidious.
But really, now we're to a point that if they weren't in the movie, they'd still bitch because they weren't, in the movie. So
also,
you can't win.
That's a racial epithet, calling them stunted slime. You can't say that. Only they can use that word. You can't use that word.
Okay, spoiler alert. Ever feel like they did not do a good job of hiding? I mean, I know we knew because we saw the originals, but they did not do a good job of hiding Palpatine.
Yeah, that's true.
And trying to trick us who that it was. I mean, that's clearly Palpatine.
Right. He's dressed exactly like him.
Well, I'm interested in seeing it too because Palpatine has kind of a clear passage that he's doing the whole movie, but the Emperor side of him, I really don't understand how he already has power over these people. What does he promise them? That's really never explained. I'm interested to see it again. Maybe it is explained. I just never caught on to it. But there's a lot of loose ends to this movie.
I think he has a sex tape of the 2 viceroys, and he just holds it over their head.
I would pay a lot of money to watch that. I'll be honest.
Me too. It's like the viceroy with one of his interns.
Maybe that will be the next side Star Wars story. Like how we're having Rogue One in a few weeks. Maybe the next Viceroy.
It's a good idea.
Liam Neeson did an interview before this movie and said, I was so excited to be part of Star Wars that I didn't even read the script. Didn't make that mistake again in his career.
Yeah. Except for Taken
I don't think George Lucas read the script before directing it either.
Yeah, I wrote it, but I didn't read it.
Fun fact.
God, these lights...
a lot of my college essays.
This stuff is cool because we never got to see Jedi Knights in their prime just fucking everything
It's
up.
It's true. The fighting scenes, honestly, can I say this without getting burned from the stake, in the originals, they were good for their time, but now they almost don't hold up to what these fight scenes are pretty cool. Even Episode 2 has some pretty cool fight scenes.
I'll tell you, I've read too many, blogs and writers online who are purists of the originals.
Yeah.
And talk about how, special effects wise, these fights are better with the lightsabers, that the originals hold true and how Jedi's really fought. It wasn't about showmanship or, going all over the place. They were very precise defenders because they never attacked. And so you'll see a lot of nerds just debate that, but I'm sorry, this is way cooler.
Yeah, and the other thing I noticed...
He did his own stunts in this, too.
Who did?
Darth Maul, he did his own stunts.
Oh, yeah, that guy's a really good stunt artist. One thing that I didn't actually notice until I read today, in the originals, because it was too expensive to do, they never showed the lightsaber actually turn on screen. It would cut away and you would hear the and then it would come back. So this, now that CGI had gotten to the point where they didn't have to stop the pacing, they were just able to do it on screen, which is really cool. By the way, here comes a great Obi-Wan joke. God, this guy's fucking hilarious. Fucking Obi-Wan.
God damn it. He got us there. Jesus Christ.
I'm in stitches. I wish Qui-Gon was like, that shit's not funny, Obi-Wan.
Also, that's also quite easily noticed as Natalie Portman. They didn't hide that one either.
Right.
Oh, she was the handmaiden the whole time. No, that was clearly her.
Is she supposed to look like a geisha?
Yeah.
And
they're really hating on the age, let's be honest.
Yeah. It's
Natalie Portman is the Randy Moss of acting. She's like really good, but she will take a lot of fucking movies off, if you know what I mean. And coming from a Raiders fan, I'll see Randy Moss just take 2 steps and not run a route, and I'll be like, what the fuck, dude? It's a passing play. What are you doing? And this is one movie. She tries pretty hard in this one, but the second, third one, she definitely takes off, kind of like Thor 2.
Like, look at her right now. What is his direction here? Just read my cue card and don't give any facial reaction. I'm pretty sure that was his direction.
You're showing too much emotion. That's what George says.
If you're coming in this movie looking for character arcs and direction and acting, then I'm sorry, Ronnie Cycli, you're in the wrong fucking place.
Star Wars is definitely not a movie about characters and
family
direction. That's definitely true.
Okay, so as this guy's getting cut out, this line here where this guy goes, a communications disruption can mean only one thing. Invasion. And he hasn't said it yet. But to me, that is the most paranoid fucking thought you could possibly have. What if her phone just cut out? No, we're being invaded. Can you imagine if, like, you dropped...
Also, jet fuel can't melt steel beams. Like, you're like, what?
The one thing I took from this movie is there was way too many people sitting around in a circle talking about shit than actually doing stuff. This whole movie is just people sitting around in a circle. The Jedi Council, they just sit around in a circle the whole time.
This guy, Captain Panaka, though, I actually thought he was a badass. I wish he would... I know that, like, she doesn't need a bodyguard, but I wish he would have at least been in the second and third one a little bit. And I'll say this, for this movie being almost 17 years old, the CGI, to me at least, still looks really good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there is a little off.
Yeah.
I mean, he'd go back and do some edits like he did to the originals.
I mean, if they thought they could make a quick buck, you know they would. I also read that the battle droids were originally going to all be white, but people didn't want them to be... I don't know if it was confused with stormtroopers or to look too much like stormtroopers, but that was another thing George Lucas nixed. Which clearly he made all the right decisions, so more power to him.
How do you take a general of the droids? Like, I mean, if they're all created the same way, that kind of seems a little like, oh yeah, that guy's going to lead them.
Right.
I mean, if I was another droid, I'd be a little offended.
Like, who's his dad?
He's in the movie this early?
Say that again?
Jar Jar's in the movie this early? I didn't even know. I guess I forgot.
They're not going to keep him on screen really long. He's the star.
You got to lead.
I mean, when you have a horse, you run him, don't you?
You got to lead with your best. Everybody knows that. Oh, muy. God, that's just fucking brutal. So for those of you at home, obviously, if you're watching this, you're a disgusting person like us and a huge nerd, and welcome. We're so glad to have you. But we all know that Jar Jar Binks is probably one of the most divisive characters, not only in Star Wars, but probably in genre film. I don't think Lucas even knew when he did this that he was a calculated risk. I think he just thought he was something that would appeal to kids and would be funny. And even, I'll be totally honest, as a kid, I actually didn't mind him. I thought he was funny. But then you go back and rewatch the movies, and it's literally like he's in a different film than everyone.
There was a lot of people, though, that really like Jar Jar. They're called Star Trek fans because it makes them look less bad. That's who likes Jar Jar. They're like, look at what the fuck Star Wars is doing. This guy sucks. We're not that nerdy. That's who loves Jar Jar, is Star Trek fans.
I was 11 or 12 when it came out, same age as you guys, and I was obsessed with Jar Jar. I remember there was an article on the Phantom Menace in, like, I don't know, some magazine, and I read it. It was bashing Jar Jar. It called him, like, he was, like, a racist character and all of this, and I was so upset because I didn't understand why they didn't like Jar Jar as, like, a preteen, because he was my favorite character. And then, 10 years later, watching, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it.
And it's crazy, like, I think this was the first time that I realized that movie studios and directors really do listen to fans because I don't know what the original plan was, and we can talk about this when we do our commentaries for episode 2 and 3, but Jar Jar was definitely yanked out of them because of the response to this character.
I really think he was a Sith Lord. I think he was kind of Yoda reversed. I think he was pretending to be good and then was evil. Hey, guys, just to go back on the CGI conversation, I looked up movies that came out in 1999. The Matrix came out in 1999, which had probably
great year for movies.
Yeah, it's probably better than Episode 1. I can't find any other movies that would have great CGI, really. Cruel Intentions came out. Not that it has good CGI, it's just a good flick. Varsity Blues came out. Very good movie.
Oh, yeah.
Sleepy Hollow might have had a little bit.
Speaking of CGI, I actually have a stat here I can throw out. This is also off of IMDb. And they say of the film's 133-minute running time, only 11 minutes contain no special effects.
Wow.
So I guess it's kind of a fun game. We can try and spot some of those.
So probably the entire pod racing scene had no special
Right.
effects.
Well, obviously, I think it means excluding that.
No, that
Yeah,
really
that's
happened.
That's about 11 minutes. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, there we
makes
go.
sense.
Don't you think the prequels were way more out there than the originals? You know, the originals had a huge fan base, but there's a lot of people that aren't really big into science fiction, but because of Harrison Ford being in it, and there wasn't as many, I don't know what the fuck to call them, animals-looking people, that I always think the prequels are way out there, man. Just like what they're doing now with an underground water city and stuff like that.
I mean, the problem is he went back and re-edited the originals, and he added those characters.
Yeah, he really did.
I mean, like in the background. I mean, it's ridiculous.
And I think that's where it's almost like the less of a budget and the advances in like computer generated imagery actually helped him make the first one because like Cycly was saying, he actually did have to rely on characters and storytelling. And here, these guys just show up in front of a green screen all day, and like you see, only 11 minutes of it don't have something digitally added.
Well, to be honest, the prequels weren't, the originals weren't anything fancy. It was good versus evil, father versus son. They just told the best story we've probably ever seen in that realm. This movie is it's political. It's about trade deals. It's about treaties.
They would try to do too much.
And I have a guy on my screen saying,
if you guys came to my apartment right now and said, "Hey man, let's drink some beer and go watch a movie about trade deals and treaties," I'm like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" It's like, it's a Star Wars movie. I'm like, "Okay, so can I dress up?" That's how it is, man. It's just kind of way out there for sure.
There's a reason the classics hold up. They're simple stories. Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Star Wars, Orphan, discovers himself, lives with aunt and uncle.
Yes.
Finds
The
himself,
thing about
conquers the world.
sci-fi it's way out there, but usually it's the skeleton of it is a simple story about love or betrayal or, avengement or revenge or something like that.
and also,
The prequels are too out there for me.
let's call a spade, and we do not mean to disparage George Lucas. He created Star Wars. He's the godfather. But as I'm watching this Gungan scene with a man saying tick, 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 tick on my screen, it had been 22 years when this movie came out since he last directed a film. So there's definitely an element of the game has changed, and like if you're not working on projects that hands-on, it's like asking a guy to pinch hit in like the World Series and hasn't had a bat in like 2 years. It's like it's hard to not suck.
Or is it the thing like where that coach stays at that program for, far too long?
Right.
Like they were really great and everyone holds on to that greatness, but you're like, okay, if he just took his performance of the last 5 years,
yeah,
he would be nothing. But hey, 10 years ago, though, he won us a national championship.
I'll give you guys a perfect example. If you're going to back Lucas for these movies, go show me a movie stub from the latest Adam Sandler comedy.
Wow, great
Period.
analogy.
Sometimes you have a time and you just need to know when your time's done and quit making shitty Netflix movies and movies with your friends and just go on the sunset. That was the problem, man. He was way out of it. The game passed him by. He was a fantastic director in the 70s and 80s, probably the best one of his generation. Absolutely the best one of his generation. But he shouldn't have even been close to this at all.
And I guess
thank God they ripped it away from him for The Force Awakens.
I guess the other thing
Go ahead.
No, sorry, Cycly. Go, see what you're saying.
I was just going to say he gained too much control.
Absolutely.
In the prequels, he wrote them and directed them. He didn't do that for the originals.
That's a great point.
And, he spread it out. So there was critique. If you have yes men surrounding you and you're in control of everything.
And if you watch the special features, you can actually see a lot of that taking place. Like, production designers will bring him like a creature, and he'll be like, "No, get that out of here." And it's like there's no collaboration at all. It's just he's rid of the highway. But I guess the thing that I've always kind of wondered, and I would love to hear if you guys know why didn't he direct anything for 22 years? Like he's George Lucas. I'm sure he had offers for projects come across his plate. Why didn't he do any? That's really weird to me. That 22 years you don't do anything.
It's a huge job to direct a movie, and your heart has to be in it, just like acting or really anything in life. You have to have a certain passion for it, and he was probably just done, man. He'd been there, done that. What's the next thing? So whenever they came to him and said, "Hey, we're going to redo Star Wars. What would you like to be a part of it and do it?" He's probably like, "Well, that's my baby, so yeah, I'll give it a shot." And plus, honestly, I watched this movie when I was a kid. I kind of liked it because I was a kid. And then when I rewatched it when the second one came out, I'm like, it's okay. The second one I thought was the worst Star Wars movie fucking ever. And
I completely agree. This is better than Attack of the Clones.
And painfully, we're going to have to do that movie review. Now, the third one, Ivan said, you know what? The only reason they did these prequels is because of the third one, so we can see Anakin become Vader. I actually thought that one was going to be good. And I'll have to say it's the best one of the prequels for me. Simply because of the story, not because of the acting or the writing or anything like that. That actually kind of ruined it because I walked out of the movie theater thinking, man, I saw what I wanted to see, but it wasn't as good as I thought it would be, and I was kind of let down, but then I'm like, I kind of like some parts of it, but that's kind of how I felt about the whole prequels.
Yeah, I can echo that.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, the third one, what was saved is the last 25 minutes of the third one, outside of some of the acting. But, seeing the whole Vader process, I mean, nothing's going to top that. That's
I will
what
say
we've
that,
been wanting to see.
the Obi-Wan Vader, the actual battle was incredible. I mean, everything you could hope for there. Obviously, the dialogue is, we'll just say wooden, but, like, characters literally saying their emotions. I am sad.
I'm never going to ever say through these whole three that we're doing that Hayden Christensen's a bad actor, simply because they made Liam Neeson, Ra's al Ghul look like a terrible actor, and Obi-Wan Ewan McGregor look like a terrible actor.
I know that.
I have nothing to judge it on.
Yeah, I know that this is obviously this sea creature scene. I think everyone's kind of like hoping we can talk through it, so we'll skip this for a second. But a scene that every time I've watched,
Finding Nemo, it looks like I'm watching Pixar right now.
I was gonna say I've seen episode 3 with Cycly. I don't know how many times to say Cycly, like 4 or 5 times. And every time that the scene comes up at the end, when Padme says, "You're going down a path I can't follow," and Anakin says, "Because of Obi-Wan," Cycly dies laughing. He's like, "What are you cheating on?"
A question because of Obi-Wan.
Yeah, he's like,
in
my point of view, the Jedi are evil. Like, okay, dude. Like, I was like, just don't talk anymore.
Well, he like assumes she's cheating on him. She's like, "What? No, you've gone insane." "Oh, so who's the fucking dude?" "No, I told you why."
Really fine. So you were cool with the Obi-Wan, and because the Emperor was like, "Hey, I'll show you some powers." Like, we're getting off topic because but we can go down that tangent.
The reason we're getting off topic is because this movie's not holding my attention. Now they're kind of getting back to the whole Senate part, which actually, as an adult now, I find very interesting. I like the whole, government being split down the middle. Palpatine's playing a side against the other so he can gain power to the dark side. It's very interesting. I wish they would have completed the story because there's a lot of stuff that it's not that I don't understand. Whenever I was younger, I was like, man, I don't understand this. Must be over my head. Now that I'm older, it's like Suicide Squad. No, I understand it. You guys just left out a ton of fucking parts to tie it up.
Well, let's say this. How gorgeous does Naboo look? Like, it is awesome. I wish they had gone back there or that they do go back there in the future Star Wars because I think it looks incredible.
Didn't they blow it up? Wasn't that the one they blew up in the original series? That was
Which
Alderaan.
one? Alderaan, yeah.
Okay,
Where Leia's home planet?
Yeah.
Which I think we actually might see in Rogue One.
Okay, I'm so excited about that movie. I know we're supposed to be talking about episode 1.
No, that's
how good is Rogue One?
No, Cycly, please. That's why we're doing this as a lead up to Rogue One. I am a jack.
I honestly am more excited about Rogue One. I was episode 7.
Tatooine was on The Force Awakens. Sorry.
With the
where they found Rey. That's
Jakku.
Where,
Jakku. That's where she was.
Jakku?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I'm the DC guy. I don't know all these. I love Star Wars, but I'm not keen on the planets at all.
Well, to be honest, the first time I saw The Force Awakens, I actually thought Jakku was Tatooine for like 30 minutes until like the fifth time they said it.
If you want to talk about Earth 1, Earth 2, and Earth 3 and stuff, I can, have a conversation with you. But all this, I just try to enjoy the story that's not being told right now.
But as a kid, though, I was like, but lightsabers and droids.
I know, and the Force.
The thing is this is the thing I never got. Why is Jar Jar still there?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like, if they were like, all right, they should have been like, thanks for the ride, get the fuck out of here, you're a loser.
But he was sworn by the Gungans since he had a life debt. But yeah, why didn't the Jedi be like, no, you're good, you're released. See you later.
Way to totally belittle the life debt that Chewie has to Han by saying the Gungans have one too. You're like, wow, Wookiees are way cooler than Gungans suck. Let's just be honest, they're weak.
Do you think that was his intention? He wanted Jar Jar to be like the prequel Chewie?
I didn't even think about it that way, but that probably makes a lot of sense. But I think this goes to show...
That's what I thought. I never thought about that, but when you said that, that's what I wanted.
This goes to show you can't force fans to like something. Like, he really, I think, was trying to force us to like Jar Jar. We will like...
Hey, sorry to bump in, but this right here, so that's Natalie Portman to the right. Is that Keira Knightley to the left?
That is Keira Knightley.
Okay. Keira Knightley is her, not really stunt devil then, but her...
Like her decoy.
Yeah. Her decoy. Which is just fascinating to me.
And then in episode 3, that character, because Keira Knightley, we'll get into this later, but was completely harassed by Natalie Portman on set and quit after this. In episode 3...
Really?
Yeah.
Hear about that.
In episode 2 or 3, episode 2, when the assassination attempt is, that character is played by Rose Byrne, who we've all seen, and she's in X-Men First Class, Apocalypse, she's in Neighbors, she's Seth Rogen's wife.
Yes.
Yeah. So she plays that character in the next movie.
Did Keira Knightley and Natalie Portman didn't get along? Did they get in a pillow fight on set? Is it taped?
In their lingerie, yes, and Lucas filmed it. It's on the special features.
Did Lucas give a dialogue to say? Because I might not be able to get hard if that is the case.
See, like, that droid literally was not even looking at Obi-Wan. What is he doing? This guy...
I'm still struggling with the ranking of the droids, honestly. I mean, how do you...
Yeah, that's true. Like, how do we determine who's the best if they're all the same?
They determine, like, oh no, we give some droids extra special power, those leaders. Why don't you do that then to all the droids? Like, I mean, you either up all of them. Like, that makes sense. There's no sense to, like, make some of them better.
There's probably some nerdy engineer, and he's like, look, I want some droids to be special, okay?
Hey,
okay, here's something I will never understand about any Star Wars movie, right? I love Star Wars movies, but they're in space. They can move in any direction possible. Yet in all Star Wars movies, they always fly right towards the blockade.
Yeah, space is literally infinite.
2 days ago. You move 360 degrees in any direction.
Ronnie, you can't be a pussy in the future.
What's
that? You gotta attack life's problems face on.
We don't have any weapons or shields, but I'm going to fly right at that Star Destroyer.
And the pilot just says, Mama didn't raise no bitch, and flies right into it. This pilot has...
It goes straight up or down. It doesn't...
Another thing that really annoyed me is that since they're doing young Jedis, and we have no clue about Jedis until this movie, unless you read the books and everything, which I've read the books after Return of the Jedi, but not before. But is the rat tail necessary? Like the new kids on the block thing? Is that something that needs to happen?
Yeah, I actually read that a Padawan Jedi has that, and then it's like a rite of passage when you become a knight, you cut it off. I'm not saying it's cool or it's not stupid.
Could have been anything else. Just anything?
Absolutely, it could have been, but that's what it is. And because Anakin obviously has it in episode 2 and 3.
So you're saying Obi-Wan Kenobi had the right stuff?
Did you buy a fucking bell for this?
Yeah, I did. I bought a bell.
Hope that's not coming
out
out
of... How much you guys have in budget?
I was gonna say, hope that wasn't on the company card.
Because you guys told me you can't pay me for my legal services because you're short on funds, but now you're buying bells.
I'm
Your
sure.
check's in the mail.
Yeah, the check's in the mail.
I mean, that sounded like a nice fucking bell. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, that did have a good, crisp ding to it.
It's brand new out of the box. I was gonna ring it every time they tell us not show us, but I don't know if it has enough juice for that. So I have to ring it this whole fucking movie.
We don't want to burn her out on her first trip.
Oh, there's Darth Maul.
I also read that Darth Maul only has 3 lines in this entire movie.
It's probably why he's everyone's favorite character.
I love Darth Maul.
But the most underused Star Wars character ever. I mean, he should have been the guy the entire prequel.
Nerds tell me that he comes back in the Clone Wars animated series.
Okay,
Yeah,
since you guys fucking brought that up, let me touch on this for a second. I'm big into Star Wars, not as big as I am to DC or anything. But the one problem I have with this is all this Darth Maul shit. Darth Maul's awesome. The only reason he's awesome is because he doesn't fucking say anything through the whole fucking movie. It's like WWE is like, oh, that guy's badass until he actually has to speak on the mic 4 months later and everyone hates him. So that's the reason everyone thinks he's cool. And the other reason, the other reason that I hate Darth Maul is because they're all like, well, you gotta read his shit on or rent the Lego movie to see his fucking origin story. No, you get it right during the movie. And I'm preaching this to Warner Brothers on every fucking pod. You got to get it right during the movie. And I agree with you, Ronnie, that he should have been the villain at least since episode 2. Because episode 2, the villain was just fucking thrown out. It was fucking terrible. So he should have killed Qui-Gon Whiskey. He should have killed Qui-Gon Whiskey.
It's Jin.
And then fucking Obi... What? Excuse me?
It's Jin. You know his name.
Anyway, he should have killed Qui-Gon and then went to the next one, and then Obi-Wan and a young Anakin should have seek revenge on Darth Maul is what should have fucking happened.
First of all, Jedi don't seek revenge. Come on.
Yeah, are you drunk? God.
That is the key to the dark side.
Of the Force.
I mean, the thing with Darth Maul, what I always loved is, like, I mean, he took on 2 Jedi, or if you want to think, you know, they were both Jedi as the scroll defines. But, I mean, he had dual saber lightsabers, which was like...
so sick.
Unbelievable. Sick. But he not only, like, had to... He was taking them all and beating them both. You know, I mean, he was a worthy adversary. It wasn't like he was just look, he has horns and he has red paint on and he's cool.
And
no,
he was very strong in the Force. Like, even during that fight, first off, he has a double-edged lightsaber fighting 2 Jedis. But how cool is it, and we'll obviously talk about this in depth because Banner would be pissed if we didn't mention the score during the fight, but he's like moving shit with the Force like all over the place. It's awesome.
That too, and he wasn't a Sith Lord yet, and they killed him before, so what would fulfill the prophecy more than a young Anakin Skywalker taking down a Sith Lord that is Darth Maul?
I mean, that's how the Sith work. They take each other down so that you can...
So I don't understand why he wasn't... He was the greatest villain you had, and you threw him away in the first one.
Yeah. Also, in this scene, you know, why did they park so far away from the city? I just really like... Do you see that walk they have?
They don't want to get
the first vacation, so it'll be the first one out.
They don't want to get a boot put on the Nubian. You know, those things are hard to get off. What if he comes back, there's a boot? He's like, God damn it. This was a handicap spot?
This only happens to me. Like the guy with the parking ticket.
I wish he comes back and there's like 2 ships. He's like double parked in. He's like, whose fucking ship is this? Whole desert and you park here?
And here comes Jar Jar stepping in poop.
Yeah, see, now this could have been a non-digital shot, but Lucas had to throw Jar Jar into it.
It was really important. What an interesting thing the director put in there for us to see. That made the movie so much better.
Such nuance.
Qui-Gon Beer has a Bill Belichick hoodie on, too, which is cool.
Seattle.
And why is... Okay, back to your point, Jeff. Like, why is Jar Jar... Yeah, okay, fine. Let's accept that he's with them because he has a life debt. Why is he the one who gets to go with them to the city?
It makes no sense. They know how clumsy he is. This is like a fucking serious mission. They have the Queen with them, although they don't know it. Panaka does. And they're going to let this klutz go?
They're idiot.
Enter Jake Lloyd.
I honestly don't mind Jake Lloyd in this movie that much. I actually thought he did a pretty good job.
It ruined his life.
Yeah, and we'll get into that a little bit later. I have a really good fact about that from IMDb. But cycling, Geiger and I were joking earlier today that George Lucas must have seen Jingle All the Way and said, that's the fucking kid, I need him.
Well, who hasn't ever seen Jingle All the Way and think that Jake Lloyd should be Batman or Spider-Man or, you know, Jesus in Passion of the Christ? I'm with him.
I mean, the fact that Arnold and Jake didn't win Oscars for that film. I mean, if we want to go on a different tangent,
Jake
because I
Lloyd
won't talk
That's a
about
whole
it.
different
Christ,
pod, because I'm disgusted.
It would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Is he Jewish? Because if he is, Mel Gibson would have never allowed him on the premises, but I don't think so.
Mel Gibson,
Because-
friend of the pod. Not
Hey,
really.
This is like sexual encounter. Like, hey, they're totally gonna bang, and he's like 4 years old, and she's like 18.
This is like every 8-year-old's dream, though. She's like babysitter age. He's like in 3rd grade. It's like, yeah, let's do this.
I have one rule. If you're in high school at the same time, it's cool. But I think that Portman would have been a senior, and he would have been maybe in 6th grade.
Yeah, I think they would have
Which is
missed
cool
each
to
other.
him.
All this is unnecessary.
I think what we just saw, like that real quick shot, like this quick shot with Lloyd, quick shot with Portman, these are like 4 seconds of non-digital shots that some disgusting person went back and like added up at the end to get the 11 minutes.
What if the first question Anakin asked her was like, "Are you shaved?" What if that was like the first question he asked her?
Are you on the pill?
But he's so strong with the Force, he already knew.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true. He already.
He's like,
knew.
it's a landing strip, I know.
I thought
At
she had a
least-
lightning bolt.
I need something more real. In the pod racing video game cycle, every time you buy upgrades, isn't it his voice like, yeah?
I was never, like, that game was so fucking hard.
I used to get headaches from playing it so much.
It was too fast.
It was too fast. So I read an interesting set. So Watto, the reason he always flies is he's paralyzed.
Really?
And if you watch his
now
legs,
I feel bad for him.
yeah, his legs
Now
are
I
limp.
actually find him attractive character.
His legs are limp and
Well,
they
no
never
wonder
move.
he needed slaves.
What?
No wonder he needed slaves. It wasn't because he was a jerk. He needed slaves because he couldn't do any of the work.
I know. And
Now, that's justifiable. I mean, come on.
we'll get into this a little bit in this one, especially once we get to Coruscant. But Geiger and I, and Psyche, I'd love to get your opinion on this. We actually side with the dark side on most issues and think the Jedi are incredibly corrupt.
I've been pro Sith for
Yeah.
the last 10 years.
Well, if you see
Really?
the originals and you're not on the dark side yet, I was on the dark side during the originals. I love Vader. I loved everything. But especially these really lead me to the dark side. So I can't use my powers for fun. I can't fuck women. I have to grow a
You
goddamn
can't love.
rat tail like New Kids on the Block. Yeah,
That's
I'll be
like a
Sith.
you're welcome for the rat tail.
The rat tail helps you not get laid
Oh.
though, so I can see why they do that.
Guys, I have a fact here. So Qui-Gon's little communicator, this is 100% true what I'm about to tell you, and you will not believe it. According to IMDb, Qui-Gon Jinn's communicator is a redecorated Sensor Excel razor for women. That is pathetic.
That's awesome.
And
Why don't we use the razor?
But, I mean, the Jedi are a complete cult. Like, if we're going to talk about that.
They are.
You know, like you guys said, you're not allowed to love. Well, like, immediately right there, you're not allowed to love. Okay, you're not the good guys.
Yeah. That's what a cult would say. Like, no, we need you to be focused on the cult, please. Don't have any friends or anything.
No friends, no feelings.
Just cult.
And they're just as upset about getting rid of the Sith. I mean, why, if they're truly like, why can't the Sith coexist?
Yeah, at least the Sith don't seem like they... Like, the Sith are like, yeah, man, just do you. Just be happy.
Think about it. They're saying, hey, we all believe in this religion called the Force, but we don't like the way you guys use it. So you can't exist.
Yeah.
You use other powers of the Force. We only use specific powers. Everyone has to be like us.
And why is it so bad that the Sith use the one to keep people from dying? Like, it's really weird that the Jedi don't want to do that. Also, you know that line Yoda has where he says, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate? When I was a kid, I never got like how fear leads to anger. That seems like a disconnect to me. I'm afraid. Now I'm mad. Like, what? That isn't normal human emotion.
Jeff, don't ever question Yoda on this pod again
I instantly regret saying it.
for your own health, because I'll murder you.
So
Don't
I'm
ever
running
question
out
Yoda.
of facts here. This is the last one, except for a great Jake Lloyd one that I'll drop on us a little bit later. But since he, well, no, he doesn't show up here. Never mind. It's a Darth Maul fact. Do you guys want it now, or do you want me to put it in my back pocket?
Oh yeah, let's take it.
So Benicio del Toro was originally cast as Darth Maul.
Wow.
Del Toro left the film after George Lucas removed what he claims was over 90% of his dialogue in the movie.
Del Toro should have stayed because he took out 90% of the dialogue in his movie.
Although now
Well,
I'm happy because
They have to
Benicio...
refilm a lot of it.
We're getting Del Toro in episode 8, of course, which I'm very excited about.
We are?
Yeah.
They
He's
already
a huge-
filmed with Del Toro. Like, how much do they have to refilm?
He has a huge role in episode 8.
Wow, I'm glad that someone's going to use him.
Apparently he's good friends with Disney after his big role in Infinity War.
Yeah, Marvel's done such a good job casting one of the greatest actors of our time. Good job, Marvel. Way to use him.
I thought you're mad when they don't follow the comics. Do you know how big of a character the Collector is in the comics?
It's awesome. He'll go down in history like with the greats of Mickey Rourke that Marvel did so great with when they casted great people.
Should we do a pod where you argue with yourself whether you want them to follow the comics or give Benicio del Toro a big role?
Chicken's
How do
done.
you guys feel that Anakin made 3PO?
So stupid. Makes no sense.
I hate it because and then once you see this, what do you do right after the movie? You go watch the originals, right? You're like, oh my god, is there ever a hint of this? No. Never.
Fuck no.
Ever.
Darth Vader be like, holy shit, I made that robot.
It's
Yeah.
like, you're all my creation. Now I must destroy you. No, nothing. Never.
It's
like
so
a chick
dumb.
he banged when he was on acid. He never fucking remembers her. It's sad.
It's disgusting. It just makes
I mean,
no
like,
sense.
that's George Lucas trying so fucking hard
R2
to be
is
like,
another one that
make
Vader
people
should have remembered. He doesn't remember any of these people. And the other thing is that C-3PO or R2 should have remembered him too. And nothing.
Yeah, that's a good
well,
point.
they did say that at least one at the end of episode 3 that their memory drives were wiped.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Very convenient.
That is true. Okay.
It's like an X-Men
But
origins
still, like,
thing.
Darth Vader's hanging around and seeing 3PO, wouldn't he be like, well, shit.
Yeah,
Maybe
Vader's...
that's what made him good at the end of Return.
Yeah, he's like,
Not Luke. Maybe he was like, oh, man, it made him think as being a child, made him
Guys-
remember his mom.
guys, here's the Sensor
Like,
Excel
oh,
razor
what
again.
have I done?
It's a razor.
That's the Gillette razor.
Obi-Wan, I'm getting the closest shave I've ever had with this razor.
Everyone remembers stuff from this movie. I took away two things. One, the movie poster for this was so fucking cool with Jake Lloyd walking out of the sand and then the way the sun was set, his shadow, but the shadow showed Darth Vader.
That was
I
awesome.
I was like, oh my god, this movie's going to be so fucking cool. And the other thing was I constitute this movie to being why I was obese as a child because I went to Pizza Hut like every fucking day so I could collect all those little coin things they gave you
Yeah.
for the game they were playing.
Also, at the end of the credits, it doesn't really make sense, but you do hear Darth Vader's breathing.
Yep. They made you stay the extra 10 minutes just to hear that.
Yeah. Again, Jar Jar makes
I
no...
remember
Like, this would
forced
be...
my parents to wait.
You have to. This would be one of the non-digital shots, but George has to have Jar Jar eating fucking chicken pot pie with the Skywalkers.
Is it just me, or is Jar Jar like a movie, and he's one of the Wayans brothers that's just so annoyingly trying to be comedic that you're like, can you just please get off the fucking way?
Yeah, he's like, but please, I'm funny.
Could you picture like a Medea movie with Jar Jar? Like, I feel like that's gonna happen.
That's where his career would have gone,
Like, I'm
I
surprised
think.
that hasn't happened.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
stay tuned for after the movie, because we'll talk about what actually happened to Jar Jar Binks in his career.
But yeah, no, he
There's
would have...
only rumors at this point. He hasn't been seen for a while.
He would have had a Medea-type career. There would have been, like, the Mesa movies is what they would have called them. It's crazy how he can take a line that is not really that hard to deliver and just do it so poorly. I wish one of them would be like, this food is awful. She's like, well, I'm a slave, so thanks. Way to pile on.
I just, and I know we'll probably get comments from this, I don't see how Jake Lloyd did a bad job in this movie. I really don't. The movie, depending on who you are, if you're a really big fan of the originals and have read the books, like, I mean, I've read all the books from after Return of the Jedi. That's why I hate the prequels, because they're not that dark and grounded. But I thought Jake Lloyd, I mean, he's a kid. How would you expect the kid to act? I mean, not everyone's a fucking Macaulay Culkin. I mean, I thought he did a good job the whole time.
Like we talked about earlier, he made Ewan McGregor, Natalie Portman bad actors. I feel bad for Jake Lloyd.
Yeah, I don't see how he did a bad job. And the scene we're going to get here coming up when he says goodbye to his mother, I still get like choked up seeing that. I thought he did a fantastic job. I really did. For somebody that it's hard to act in a George Lucas prequel, I would say that he was probably the best actor in it because, and that's saying something because he put handcuffs on fucking Ewan McGregor and everyone else that's in this. Natalie Portman, the list goes on, man. Ra's al Ghul.
Qui-Gon Tequila.
I mean, I'll be honest, I think Sebulba is the best actor, but, we can agree.
Yeah, we meant besides him, obviously. I love how now Watto, we've made him like...
Qui-Gon Jaegerbaum ever banged Anakin's mom?
Well, there was supposedly some scenes cut out where they had like a weird romantic sort of thing going on.
That'd be a perfect reason for why he left, because after you have sex with a chick you barely know, you definitely want to go to a different planet and never see her again.
He's like, God damn it, I hope Anakin wins this fucking race because I banged his mom last night.
You usually don't take her kid, though. But hey.
It's usually the opposite.
In the future, who are we to judge?
I think a Jedi can make her, come on command, use our mind tricks and stuff.
Only the Sith. Yeah, the Jedi aren't allowed to do that. That's the Sith thing.
But can you imagine being, dating someone and their ex-boyfriend was a Jedi or a Sith? You're like, okay, well, I can't compare.
Babe, come on.
I'm just an ordinary guy.
She's like, yeah, I know. Don't remind me.
So I'm curious, Horn. It's like, what made Watto paralyzed?
What I read was there was just some accident, maybe, but he didn't used to. He would walk around supposedly before, and then I think there are prequel comics that explain it. It's not like a big deal.
Cycling, I know. It was a cold night. The streets were full of ice, and a Wookiee walked across the street. And a pedestrian tried to swerve, and he missed him, but he hit Otto head on, and Otto, he didn't walk away from it. Let's just say that.
How typical is that story? I mean, I've heard that 1,000 times.
He got rear-ended in his pod by some woman, Asian woman.
Yeah. Texting and driving.
She was communicating with her boyfriend on her Excel Razor communicator.
I know a lot of people have problems with Liam Neeson even being in the movie. Not Liam Neeson, but just the character of Qui-Gon Jinn. And I'll say this. Him being in the movie, I like. The only thing is I wish there was a more connect between Obi-Wan and Anakin. Now, as terrible as that's done, it is done in Episode 2 and 3. But I think it would have been cool since Lucas did all this shit to the originals that if the very first Star Wars, Vader had, because you get James Earl Jones back there to say it, they said, you never wanted me. The only reason I ever came was because of Qui-Gon. That would have been kind of cool if that was in the original Star Wars.
That would have been cool. Liam Neeson never found his daughter at the end of this one. I just feel bad.
Yeah, that's too bad. But this is where he got his very particular set of skills.
Yeah, that is.
There's a lot of rumors that in Episode 8, Luke, on the planet that he's on with Rey, has rebuilt a Jedi temple, and that he's been communicating with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and Anakin, and that we may see cameos from him, Hayden Christensen, and Ewan McGregor as Force Ghosts.
Do you think it's awkward with Anakin? Obi-Wan is like, hey, yeah, you were good for about the last 5 minutes of your life. You can't just jump into these meetings and act like you have to stay.
He's like, what, guys? I totally helped. It's you made the problem though. That doesn't count.
No, but I turned good right before I died. Come on, great.
Qui-Gon just banged Anakin's mom, and now he just the cut scene that they won't show you is Qui-Gon actually threw Anakin a softball mitt. He's like, "Hey, buddy, let's go outside and play some catch, and I'll kind of tell you what happened last night."
Yeah,
we're gonna be great friends.
I'm not taking the place of your dad, who you don't know. Okay, I'm still Qui-Gon.
Look, I'm not trying to replace your dad. I'm just trying to be a shoulder for you.
I'm just trying to be a friend, but a friend that tells you what to do and when to be home, okay?
He's like,
so I'm going to teach you how to throw a curveball.
And then he comes back 2 years later as a wife beater, and it's like, hey, Anakin, you going to mow that fucking yard or what? What's going on with that? It's like, well, we have a
Your mom
sand.
told you 4 times to take out the trash, and when you don't take out the trash, my dick doesn't get sucked. I don't understand what part of this equation you don't
Do
understand.
you think I want to beat her in front of you? I hate doing it.
Yeah, the Qui-Gon Anakin catch scene from Field of Dreams definitely was cut out of this movie.
Now,
would have been really cool to see.
So there's a rumor, and maybe you guys know if this is true or false, but that this blue guy who's friends with Anakin is Greedo from Star Wars: A New Hope, who Han shoots. Looks exactly like him.
Mean, that's kind of. I want to see that movie.
And they're on
What
Tatooine.
happened?
They're on Tatooine when it happens.
I mean, was with the wrong people, the wrong time.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, Greedo just got mixed up in high school, you know? Anakin left, wasn't a steadying influence in his life.
Bad crowd, smoked some weed, which we all know is a gateway drug, and it gatewayed him into heroin and just selling shit on the street.
Yeah, Greedo's definitely a heroin dealer. I love when people say, like, Greedo wasn't a bad kid, he just got mixed up with the wrong crowd. It's like, what? Oh, that's hilarious. Good job, George. Fucking love it.
I'm honestly torn every time I see these movies because I know there's a huge fan theory out there, which I personally love, that Jar Jar's a Sith Lord and everything he does, there's a bunch of stuff out there that Jedi doesn't do anything by accident. There's nothing that happens by accident. Whatever. His eyes are another thing, how he's in a bunch of scenes. And I'm thinking that Lucas had a plan for him the whole time, but after all the backlash, he's like, we can't do this. Everyone will kill me. But then again, after watching these movies and knowing that he can't write a fucking scene or write any dialogue at all or direct, I'm thinking maybe he didn't have a plan for him. Maybe he just wanted him to be the comic relief, which is another thing that keeps me at night.
There's a greater story behind all of this. It's definitely a Sith Lord.
I believe that. I really do. Because in some point...
we have to believe that. Otherwise, we have to
say that George Lucas is a fucking nut whenever he got older. And I will say that. God damn it.
I still don't get, he wasn't...
Everyone's about to tear up. It's working, guys. Oh my God. It's working.
That line, anytime... I remember in the Pod Racer game, there's some turbo boost you can do, and that's the audio that plays.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that N64 controller that looked like 3 dildos, kind of.
Yeah.
Attached to one thing.
I
think it was
I thought that's
B
what
plus
they were.
was the turbo.
Yeah, that's what it was, right? Tri-dildo?
But besides this game and NWO versus WCW, was there a better game on N64? Was GoldenEye on N64?
Yeah.
You're getting to the top.
Okay. That's it then. Those 3 are the top.
I loved Blitz and Smash Brothers also. It's all deadly.
You just got me, Geiger. I'm shaking. That's the greatest system of all time, and you're acting like that was dumb. I'm done. Sorry.
Well, I mean, it's just a matter of time. Poor Obi-Wan, was he just fucking watching DVDs?
Qui-Gon's getting ass, and he's just there just being like, what the fuck, dude? Seriously, what am I supposed to do?
Come on. The actual, you don't think he's hooking up with the queen, who's actually, or the queen? There's a couple of chicks on that plane.
That's true. The orgy is a scene that we don't get to see.
She's rich. She won't put out.
I'm going to, before the epic pod racing scene, I'm going to go fill up. I'll be right back.
Smart idea.
I got to pee too, so Jeff, just talk amongst yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I'll just keep everyone entertained. Now, Darth Maul's ship here is really cool because from behind it looks like a TIE fighter. And for those of you pig men at home, we all know that the look from behind sometimes is a little bit better from the front. You know what I'm saying? Picturing this as Benicio del Toro, I mean, he's only looking through a pair of binoculars, but you have to imagine that he would somehow make that 10 times more awesome. No disrespect to the actor who ended up playing Darth Maul, but it's Benicio del Toro we're talking about, brah. And actually, the actor who plays him is Toad in the original X-Men. Fun fact.
I'm so sorry about leaving you. Did you survive?
I'm used to it. Now, this is a scene coming up that we need to talk about as part of the Jedi being corrupt. So, Watto, look, he cannot be held to the Jedi standard. He's a fucking junk dealer. He's a scoundrel. But he has a weighted die.
Playing the game, man. He's playing the game.
Exactly. He has a weighted die that he's going to roll, and Qui-Gon manipulates it to swing the bet in his favor. I'm pretty sure that's against several Jedi codes.
This is definitely dark side material shit, and that's why I don't understand Qui-Gon's. And I know that a lot of people hate this movie because there's no main character, and there's really not. It's not Qui-Gon, it's not Obi-Wan. There's no way it's Anakin. He doesn't even show up till 50 minutes into the movie.
Why are we forgetting about him? I don't understand.
That's true. Sorry. But this goes against everything, and taking into consideration, this is episode 1. This is the first movie we've seen after Return of the Jedi. And I don't believe the whole Jedi thing that Qui-Gon does, he really is the Johnny Cash of Jedi. He definitely walks the line on a lot of the shit, for sure.
But isn't he, I mean, I've read some theories that, obviously Dooku in the second one and Qui-Gon were really close. Obviously he trained him. But there was some theories that, Qui-Gon was not actually a pure Jedi either. They would talk about he always argued with the Jedi Council. He would always disagree with the Jedi Council. He went against the Jedi Council. So there's a lot of, maybe Dooku, inspired that side of Qui-Gon, and he wasn't such a Jedi purist.
That's the only reason I think that he really saw something in Anakin. Now, Anakin, of course, he's really young and innocent in this movie, so he's not the Anakin that we've seen that's always against the Jedi Council, and he's like, man, they're not giving me my due or anything. With Qui-Gon, I either wanted none of him or more of him, I guess. His whole story is still up in the air for me. I wish that he would. I understand that he should have died at the end. Someone had to have fucking died, but not him and Darth Maul. But I wanted more of Qui-Gon just to see, okay, with him and Dooku, you brought up a really good point. What is their connection? And don't tell me, show me.
Okay. Their connection is they're both part of the same frat, basically,
Yeah, but they
So wasn't Dooku the one who trained
Qui-Gon?
Oh, that's
because
right, he was.
and Dooku don't have a scene together.
I forgot Dooku trained. Yeah, it would have been cool to see them, on screen together. Again, what's this dude
agree,
fucking...
Jeff, though, that I either want more Qui-Gon or none at all. Because what you gave me, I have so much more questions than I had answers the whole time.
Yeah, and it's...
This is the greatest part, and if there is something that you take away from the prequels, I would say this thing is number 1.
I did love the pod race. The sound in it is incredible, the noise of that the machine is making.
The Chris Berman and Al Michaels people up there that's broadcasting doesn't really go along with the tone from the originals, but you know what? As a kid, I dug it, and this movie's kind of a joke anyway, so it's kind of entertaining.
There's actually a part where we may have a problem, because I don't know if I have the extended edition, but I think mine has extra introductions of some of the pod racing characters.
I'm seeing Sebulba just getting cheered for right now.
Okay, did you see the... Hang on, because I'm going to have another guy here. A dude with a bunch of eyes now?
Yeah, yep.
Now, yeah.
Okay. Now a dude bowing who looks like Falco.
Yes, don't act like your version is better than all of ours.
No, I'm happy for you guys that you also have this version. It's good, because I felt for so long I couldn't talk to anyone about it.
But to be honest, at what point do you think, watching some of this stuff, and like you said, the commentators, at what point do you think George Lucas just really didn't take it seriously, or do you think he truly thought he was creating a masterpiece here?
Well, one of the quotes...
because you can't think either in between. I'm going to have to be honest.
Yeah, one of the quotes we played just before the pod, where he says, I think I may have taken things a bit too far. I could see this is one of the scenes that he's watching, and he's like, this is just so gratuitous for no reason. It's like, we have CGI, let's just use... And this makes no sense, again. Why is C-3PO fucking walking his flag out?
It's like the Olympics. This is during the good old days, too. Notice no one's bowing during the anthem. Anyway, the problem I have with it is that I don't know if this movie is for kids or adults, because there's definitely a kiddie aspect, and we're about to watch it right now, but the whole premise of this movie and the story about, like we said before, trade deals, treaties and stuff is very adult-oriented. When I was little, I didn't know fucking anything about that until I learned it in school. It's a very complex movie for sure. It doesn't know what it is. I guess we can.
He tried to appease everyone. He tried to appease the original nerds about it with the oh look, C-3PO that is. And we're gonna make the kids love it, and instead it just pissed everyone off.
Well, the one thing I can say about it is that after seeing The Force Awakens, and some people have their problems with that. I have my problems with Kylo Ren, and that's about it. Everything else I loved about that movie. But that movie goes in order with the originals, I feel. These movies go way kind of childish for me, I believe anyway. The Force Awakens definitely has the same tone as the originals.
I mean, there's a reason people say Force Awakens was almost shot for shot. New Hope. It's just, you went back to what worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still it's the tone that I got from it, I guess. And yeah, you can argue that it's the same fucking movie, which I think is kind of funny because George Lucas didn't have anything to do with it. And then he said he didn't like it, but I'm like, okay, now you're
you already fucking made that movie, George. What do you mean you don't like it?
Wait. George Lucas said he didn't like that? I had not heard that.
He had some really passive-aggressive comments about the film. I don't think he expressly said I did not like this movie, but obviously it came across as very sour grapes because somehow being paid $3 billion wasn't enough for him. He also wanted creative control of it.
My problem with everything is that I wish the prequels were done by someone else. I wish that the movies now were done by George Lucas, and simply because, one, I think there's people around him that would tell him, no, that's the stupidest fucking idea. They would have writers. And two is because I've stressed it before, I want to see Jason Solo. I want to see Anakin Solo. I want to see the twins. I want to see, Jason turn to the fucking dark side and be like greatest Sith Lord ever. I want to see Anakin die.
I want to see Darth Bane. We haven't seen him.
I want to see all that stuff, and we're not going to get that. And I think Lucas would have definitely stayed true to his books because he wrote them. So
I'm like ready to play the pod racer game now. I might have my hand on A, just ready to.
Thank you. I have it. So
do you really?
Yep.
All right, we're playing that over Thanksgiving, getting hammered.
Yes. Jeff, why do you always want to be drunk when you hang out with me?
No, it's like you're fun. I don't even need alcohol to enjoy you.
You think Jake Lloyd would come on the pod?
I mean,
I think he doesn't want. As long as you don't talk about this.
I mean, can he get
I don't understand why. I thought he did a good job.
Can he Skype from prison?
He talks about how this is the worst decision he ever made in life.
That's like blaming Terrell Pryor for being the Browns 0-10. There's way bigger fucking issues going on than this.
All right, well,
and he's probably the best player on the team.
Cycling, now that you made that mention, I got to bust out my last fact that I have here. And I'll get it in quick, that's what she said, so that we can focus on the pod just as Anakin fixes it. But this is this is again from IMDb. So, Jake Lloyd retired from acting in 2001, citing bullying on the part of classmates and the stress of doing up to 60 interviews a day as his reasons for doing so. He stated in a 2012 interview that being in the film ruined his childhood and his acting career, and that he destroyed all of his Star Wars memorabilia out of anger towards the film. Which to me seems like a bit much, but...
That sounds like a path to the dark side, I'm going to be honest.
Absolutely. It's impulsive, it's emotion-driven. I mean, it's fear leads to anger.
Fear led to anger.
Exactly. Yoda was right there. I take back what I said earlier.
Can we be honest with ourselves, and fans might not bring them to realize this, but do you think James Earl Jones really cares about Star Wars? Do you think he really, do you think he's read any of the books or seen the fucking, exactly.
No, bro.
And this kid probably just, hey, I want to be an actor, and then he gets this role, my God, this is going to be awesome for me, and then all these people just attack him and stuff, and I don't think he did that bad a job. You know what? I challenge you, Star Wars fans, if you're going to make him quit acting, you better fucking tweet at Kylo Ren's bitch ass now, because I don't want to see his dumbass, emo, good Charlotte listening, fucking band wearing t-shirt motherfucker in the next one. So you better tweet at him right now and get him out. Adam Driver needs to be out. He's fucking terrible if you're going to tweet at some people.
No, I really think for Star Wars fans, they took it out on him and blamed him for this movie sucking. They couldn't insult George Lucas. He's their idol.
Yeah, not yet. We had to wait till episode 2 to do that.
Well, talk with a 10-year-old kid because he can't defend himself.
Yeah, and apparently it was really bad at school, which, I mean, that sucks. I don't want that on anybody, but, I mean, the movie was bad.
Which is crazy because I was maybe a year or two older than him You guys can speak for yourselves, but if he was my classmate, I would have been obsessed.
No, I'm with you.
God, yeah.
I'm with you, Cycling. I would have been like, man, that movie was awesome, dude.
That's what I don't get. I don't know if it's the bullying for school. I think would just be jealousy because when you're kids, you don't know what a bad movie is. Jesus Christ, some of the movies D2 The Mighty Ducks we just did a movie review on. I thought that was the greatest fucking movie growing up ever. Some of us still do.
It's the greatest movie of all time.
Yeah, and now you know it's the greatest movie ever.
Yeah, but I think that was more bullying for being jealous. I think the bullying he got for being a terrible movie was a bunch of older people that were expecting something different and didn't get it. And I'm going to say this again. Of all the actors that are in this, I think he is the best one that shines greatest in this movie. I really do.
He's the tallest dwarf.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of human, Liam Neeson, I think, does a good. I mean, like whether we like his character or not, he does a good job.
Liam Neeson is a fantastic actor. I just don't think he's good at
Ewan McGregor now.
Ewan McGregor, I think he's good in. I think he was good in episode 3. Episode 2, I'll have to watch again because I try not to ever watch that movie.
Ewan McGregor is really
Nothing
good.
is good about it.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor, that's his best performance of the 3, and I think he decided hey, this dialogue is bad, episode 3, and he's like, I'm just gonna overcome it.
Yeah, episode 3, I think that was when he really shined.
I love the scene, not to get too off topic here, but in episode 3, right before he's about to go to Mustafar, and he says to Padme, who doesn't even know that he's aware she's pregnant, he goes, Anakin's the father, isn't he? And she doesn't say anything, and he goes, I'm so sorry. That scene is great.
Yeah.
Anakin having some serious fucking issues here.
The thing about this is it kind of had to be a kid's movie because Anakin was a kid. So it has to, kind of...
There's plenty of movies with kids that weren't kids' movies. I mean, Sixth Sense and, a couple others you can think of. That's I think that was what George Lucas failed at. He thought because there's a kid, let's make it a kid's movie, where that's not always the case.
Yeah, that's true. The Sixth Sense, that's not really a kid movie. And by not really, I mean in no way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
See, this CGI looks...
How old was Haley Joel Osment during this?
Say that again?
How old was Haley Joel Osment during this? Probably the same age as Sixth Sense?
He was up for it, I think. I've read some of that stuff, but he was 1 or 2 years too old, according to Lucas.
Also...
I don't have anything in front of me to back.
Why? Because he'd be the same age as the chick he's gonna fuck 2 episodes later?
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. Get him out of here.
I wonder if Lucas thought he was too big a name to where almost people would be like, oh, that's Haley Joel Osment instead of, oh, that's Anakin.
See, that's what Star Wars people want to trick you into thinking. It's like, oh, we don't want any big names in this because it'll take away from the movie. That's not true. Big names don't want to be in this. What big name has ever done a Star Wars movie? Harrison Ford. Wasn't a big name until he was in Star Wars.
Well, it's a tough thing. What?
No big name wants to be part of the Star Wars movie.
Samuel L. Jackson wanted to be in them. That's not a big name. No?
Okay, yeah. Because Samuel L. Jackson's never reached to be in a movie before, ever. I haven't seen him in a movie in the last 2 minutes. So, yeah, you're right. Samuel L. Jackson. He was about to... we asked Banner to be on this, and it was his birthday. Alex was trying to figure out what the fuck's wrong with the Panthers. Hey,
you guys are stuck with me.
Actually, I'm sorry. We called Samuel L. Jackson before you, and he didn't answer. So then we called you, and Samuel's like, "Hey man, can we do a 4-way pod over this movie? Because you're always, I'm down for work all the time." Like, Samuel, listen, we love you, dude, but you can't be on here. We just wanted a 3-way pod.
Normally, I would argue against you, but considering he's been in 3 episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I'm just going to say you're right.
He's in every movie. And it sucks that he's in Pulp Fiction because we could have somebody that's not such an asshole.
See, this CGI is awesome to me.
He had a line. He did an interview that said that Mace Windu isn't dead too. By the way.
Well, yeah, he doesn't want him to be dead. Right into your point, because he wants to be in more movies.
Nothing gets a chick wet more than if you win a race. You know what I mean, guys?
No.
Natalie Portman's up there watching on.
God, this must have been a tough acting day. Like, you're just sitting there on a green screen. They're blowing a fan into your face for 5 hours. George looks like, now show some more emotion, Jake. Oh, now you want emotion?
Goes. I mean, how do you even know the course? Like, there's no line
Exactly.
defining which direction. Oh.
And, like, is he out here practicing? Like, when is he leaving home to do this? He's a slave.
Sorry, Master, I am busy today.
Annie does the dishes.
I'll get back next.
Yeah, slaves don't make their own hours, Anakin.
During our Batman and Robin commentary, the more I drank, the worse the movie got. Honestly, the more I'm drinking, the better this movie's getting.
I'm enjoying it.
No, we're in the pot. That's part of the movie.
I enjoy this movie. I it's not. It is what it is.
This is about the halfway point, and it's a good. Look, we did say before, the stuff we liked, we're going to say we liked, and I love the pod race.
Is the story kind of jumbled? Yeah, a little bit. I really wish Palpatine kind of had a better sense of direction through this whole movie. The thing that pisses me off about this movie is not the actual movie, is where it leads to in episode 2 and 3, and how none of these character arcs really developed the way I wanted them to, and none of the stories developed the way I wanted them to, where I'm like, oh my god, this is cool to see. The Emperor is a prime example. He was exactly where he was on the first Star Wars. We're like, how did he get there? Like, why is everyone so scared of him? Why does everyone fucking do exactly what he says? That was my biggest part of it.
Greedo.
I think because obviously I think we all agree that this is better than Attack of the Clones.
Oh yeah.
I think the problem with this movie is a lot of Star Wars
dog shit.
It's horrible. I think the problem with this movie is I've read a lot of people talk about this. Is episode 1 has nothing to do. You could cut out episode 1 and start at episode 2, and you wouldn't be lost.
I'd never even thought of that. Is so true. All you need to do is explain how Anakin got there, which you could do with like a line of dialogue.
Why do you need to explain that? He's just a Padawan.
Yeah.
Like he could be anyone. He doesn't need to be.
It's a really good point.
A former slave. He doesn't need to it's just this movie doesn't really serve a purpose, and I think
you could cut out episode 2 and be fine too.
I mean, I do cut out episode 2.
But if you cut out episode 2 and just go
from
from this and be like, okay, Anakin's been training with Obi-Wan the whole time, and that's how it goes, I think you could do that as well.
Yeah, I mean, the key to that is like he meets Padway. They get the clone army. The Senator starts to get a lot more power. The Jedi Council's corrupt.
I'll tell you, episode 2 for me would have been the best movie of the whole fucking thing. Count the originals. It would have been the best movie of the whole thing if they would have actually shown Anakin going in there and killing the Sand People for his mother. If they would have shown it. Not just, I did it. I did it. And he was like crying.
So what did they do, Geiger? Instead of
show me killing them, it'd be fucking awesome.
But instead of showing you, what did they do?
They told me, Jeffrey.
Exactly.
God damn it! Somewhere Banner right now is pissed off and doesn't even understand why.
And somewhere English is just getting ready for our Quentin Tarantino movie commentary. We're trying to decide.
The coolest scene, though, and this is episode 2, is when he was riding on that speed racer going in, and he knew he's going to kill everybody. I'm like, oh my god! I'm like, let me see it, baby.
Yeah, that is sick.
And then you just pull him away, and it doesn't happen.
His transition into falling for the dark side is just weak.
It happens like that.
I mean,
at least I felt like. And I think the other problem with that, like, let's be honest, no matter what, we all would have been a little let down, because how long have we been building that up, like seeing Anakin turn evil? Literally since probably Empire, when we knew, what the actual backstory of Vader was. So it's tough to live up to that, but even by that standard,
well, when we knew we were going to get the prequels, that's the only thing, honestly, any of us cared about.
That's all I really wanted to see.
Where was he at? What made him turn? Blah, blah, blah. I want to see every step along the way. The thing that they really missed on was his relationship with Palpatine, the Emperor. It happened at the end of this, and I was really pumped when he says, young Skywalker, I'll watch your career with great interest. And then in the second one, I thought it was just not even there. And the third one, they're like, okay, let's rush this. He really trusts him.
Yeah, that's a good
point. The Jedi don't like that he's too close to him. It just...
No, we had to...
It was a swing and miss.
Of the prequels, and they missed the part.
Yep.
It was a swing and miss to the person that I consider our greatest storyteller of our time that's done Indiana Jones and the original Star Wars. It was a huge... I was really disappointed, for sure.
I think
he made it too big. He couldn't. I mean, so that's why sometimes
books were there. Just follow the books. I don't understand.
Cycly, I want your opinion on this because Geiger and I talked about this before. So we think George Lucas is really, really good at writing stories. He's not very good at directing, and he's really bad at writing dialogue. So I would have been fine with him writing the story to the prequels, not writing the script or directing them, but just doing that like he did with Indiana Jones.
He's big picture.
Yeah.
I mean, like, honestly, picture, like, you know, here's the arc, here's the story arc. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get the lines in between. But here's where it needs to go. And then you let people who are good at the in-betweens do that. And
just imagine how good these would have been if he wrote the story, James Cameron would have directed, and someone else could have wrote the dialogue.
Spielberg writes the script. You know?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, just fucking imagine how great these could have been.
And, like, there's no problem with that. Like, at the end of the day, who's the one that actually comes up with it all? Yeah, probably the story. Now, everyone is really, really important, but to think that he can do all three when... I think he's probably weakest at writing dialogue. I don't know if you guys would agree or disagree. Second weakest at directing, but very strong at coming up with stories.
I think directing is... and I don't know. Directing in the goes back and forth between acting is it the directing. I mean, so those go back and forth for me.
Yeah.
Episode 3 should have been the greatest Star Wars movie ever. Period. It should have been. How Anakin turns to
so
Vader.
Hard. I understand.
How the Republic's out of power. How the dark side takes over. The Emperor finally. It should have been the greatest fucking Star Wars movie ever.
It's tough.
It's probably the second worst.
It's tough for me to say the greatest Star Wars ever because I think that the original Star Wars may be like one of my top 2 favorite movies of all time. So
Empire Strikes Back is my favorite movie.
The Empire is my favorite too.
Yeah, and I respectfully see that. Like that's a great movie too.
I mean, we're DC guys, Geiger.
Exactly.
So what does that have to do with Empire?
Everything, Jeff. You don't understand. You don't understand.
Right?
You're the Bell. You have an addiction. You need help.
The reason it should have been the greatest one, though, is because
what is that?
The original Star Wars, Empire, and Return of the Jedi were so good, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, how did you get to that point?" And he used to be good. He used to be a Jedi. Everyone wants to hear that story. That's why it should have been the greatest one ever. Because the first Star Wars, no one really knew what the hell it was. After Empire, everyone's like, okay, it's building to something. And then Return of the Jedi, it closed it. I'm like, this is awesome. And if you tease them with like, hey, we're going to do an Anakin story and show you everything from start to beginning, that should have been the greatest story ever told. And I believe this was, if it wasn't George Lucas, it was somebody close that said, you can't do too much with Star Wars because Star Wars is basically built around the rise and fall of Anakin Skywalker. That's what the whole fucking story is. It's not about the Republic. It's not about a bunch of fucking planets. It's about the rise and fall of Anakin Skywalker. So if you've seen him at his strongest and fall, you want to see the rise of him. And that's why I thought the third one should have been the greatest one ever. And when I saw it, I was happy at some points because I'm like, this is kind of cool, but I was disappointed at others. I'm like, man, this could have been way better.
And that's
why. You guys ready for a really unpopular opinion?
Yes, please.
I think I think my order is Empire, New Hope, and then maybe Revenge of the Sith, and then Return of the Jedi.
Wow.
I rewatched Return a lot in the last couple of years, and it drops down every time I watch it.
Damn, what about it doesn't hold up? Because to be totally transparent, I have not seen it in at least.
I'll probably get a lot of people.
Yeah. What doesn't hold up?
The entire beginnings.
Like the Ewoks?
The whole Jabba What's that?
Do the Ewok are the Ewoks still good, or do you almost look back at it and you're like, no?
Ewoks to in 30, 40 minutes. You know, you're so excited about the final chapter, and then you're stuck on Tatooine dealing with Jabba, and like it's so corny, dealing with his band and the Cantana and all of that, and I just by the time you get to the good part of Return, you're.
That scene on the ship, though, I thought that was fucking badass on Return.
The end space battle is awesome too.
Well, yeah, I mean that goes without saying, but that scene whenever he tells Jabba, he's just like, "Hey, man," he's like, "I'm gonna kill fucking everyone here if you don't give me what I want." Jabba just laughs because he's like, "Who the fuck are you?"
And he's like, on the plank, and he goes, "This is your last chance, Jabba."
Yeah, he's on the plank, and then R2 shoots up the lightsaber. I was like, "God damn, this is fucking sick."
By the way,
I agree. I just view it as like when I watch that movie, I want to skip the first like 20, 30 minutes to get to that initial
Awakens then.
I'll have to rewatch it. We just missed it, but I want to ask you guys this. So that's the first time we've seen Darth Maul use his lightsaber. Did you guys know at the time that he had the double blade? Like, I can't remember if they showed it in the trailers or was it like a huge?
They did show the trailer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fun fact: it was it came out in the summertime, and my aunt took me for my birthday to get any gift I wanted. I mean, like, she was on the rich side of my family, get anything.
Let's go.
So I, of course, wanted $30 double-sided Darth Maul lightsaber.
Right.
I mean, she was like, this is really what you want me to buy. I will spend hundreds of dollars on you for anything. And I was like, nope.
We're
double-sided
set.
lightsaber.
Check it out.
I didn't care.
Did it like pop out on its own, or how did it work?
Yeah, like I mean, it was like the toy lightsabers now, like it kind of like pyramid out, and like if you spun it, both sides would come out and have lights. I mean, it was sick.
That's so sick.
Yeah,
I would want that now.
And then you could twist it off and have two.
Shut up.
No, I'm not joking. I still to this day wish my parents still had it somewhere. I have no idea what happened.
I'm glad you said that because in Attack of the Clones, I get really pissed at the end. You know when they're fighting Dooku in the hangar, and I think Obi-Wan gets like hurt for a second, and Anakin picks up both lightsabers. I was like, "Fuck yeah, use them both!" And he like acts like he's going to, and literally for like 3 seconds does it, and then falls. I was like, "That would have been fucking awesome. Why didn't he use those?"
How old do you think Jake Lloyd is?
They just wanted to rush to
9? Yeah, I'd say like 9.
8 or 9.
Couldn't they have maybe used him through every movie? So they make it every 4 years.
I don't think he wanted to be in it.
13, 14, 15, 16, 17. He'd be like 18 in the third one.
I think the other thing is they needed like someone better looking, to be totally honest.
No, he wouldn't have been 18. He would have been 15.
Yeah.
In the third one?
Yeah, because it was 3 years apart, so that would have been 6 years later.
Plus, he was probably in jail by then.
And hated Star Wars.
Okay, so Palpatine is the actor. He's the original from the original Star Wars, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
How young was he in the original Star Wars? Because in this movie, he looks like maybe he's 42.
He was really young in the
I
original
think
one.
they just used a lot of makeup in the first one.
Yeah, because it was in the 70s, so he would have been 20 years younger. That's insane.
The only I read the only 3 people who reprised their roles were Ian McDiarmid, Frank Oz as Yoda, and Anthony Daniels, the voice of C-3PO. So Ian McDiarmid's the only one who's actually on screen, because Frank Oz is just the voice of Yoda.
Like, again, hey, if I was watching this movie and didn't know anything about Star Wars, I'd be like, that guy looks a lot like the bad guy from the very first scene. Like,
Sam's
he just
Club.
doesn't have a hood up.
I have to take something back. Earlier I was saying I don't think Jake Lloyd could have filmed his scenes because he was in prison, but you don't need actual sets. You could put up a green screen in his prison cell, and Lucas probably could have just fucking got away with it.
Looks just green screen.
Yeah, he'd be fine. Like, do you mind if we put up a green screen in his prison cell for 10 minutes? They'd be like, sure. I don't whatever.
Jake Lloyd would probably argue that this was prison and prison was freedom.
Yeah. The more I read that, I'm actually kind of upset. He just sounds like a whiny little bitch. Like, we all would have killed to do this at 8 or 9 years old. Well, how long has it been since Jar Jar talked? I feel like a long time.
Well, that's what this movie's been lacking for the last 30
Just
minutes.
be in peace with it. It's fine. Doesn't need to talk.
All these gratuitous traffic shots in Coruscant. Like, literally makes no sense. If I'm an editor, I'm like, well, this is 14, 15 seconds we can save real easy. See, and this is all green screen, too. Like, none of this shit is real, except for, like, the couches, obviously. Ian McDiarmid has such a distinct voice. I like to imagine him picking up chicks at the bar. He's like, so you're a Pisces, are you?
Maybe that's what got Anakin to turn, that voice.
And she's like,
wow,
yeah, I am a Pisces. How did you know that?
You get her on the couch later. She's like, I'm not sure if I should do this on the first date. He's like, you don't know the power of the dark side.
See, this is supposed to, like, introduce us to his scheming, but they just didn't do... That's where the movie should have been focused, but they you know...
Absolutely, yeah.
Completely abandoned that the entire time.
The way Queen Amidala looks right now and the way Natalie Portman is just kind of on the side is how my wife feels whenever she has makeup on or she doesn't. Pretty much how it is.
It's how a girl feels with an Instagram filter.
Yeah.
Why did Snapchat added that face of this?
That would actually be awesome. It would be so, like... Well, they should do it with Rogue One. I mean, it would not really connect, but it would
I would
connect.
totally make that my story. I mean, seriously.
I'd get 10 snaps from Cycly a day with the fucking Amidala headpiece on.
You know how ripped I'd be if this guy was at the gym with me all the time when I'm like, oh my god, I can't. It's like, one more rep.
One more, Carl. You're cheating yourself.
You're cheating yourself.
Yo, how
I'm like,
young...
oh my god.
The same...
Like,
So,
I'll never be a fucking Sith Lord if I can't do 50 push-ups.
interesting story. So this is Puppet Yoda in Episode 1. In 2 and 3, it's all CGI Yoda.
I was just about to say that. One sec.
Once again, people sitting around in a circle.
Why do you hate circles? What happened in your past?
What did a circle do
Because
to you?
that's all this movie is people sitting around in a circle talking shit, and the Jedi Council just talking about...
What shape do you prefer them to sit in?
That's shapeism.
I like the Jedi... Listen, the Jedi Council is like every fucking business ran in all of fucking America. All of these are upper management. All they do is sit on their ass while fucking Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Tequila go out and fucking kill people. Like, why don't they get up off their ass and do something?
I think those look like comfy chairs, but I still don't know what shape you want them to be sitting in. Like a pentagon?
You're a shapeist, and that's
Octagon.
disgusting to me.
I'm going to say, because how many years between this and Empire? Like, 30 years? Because Yoda, for being 900 years old, seems to really age
He doesn't
in the
age.
last 30 years.
He doesn't age. At
Well,
all.
that's just not true.
No, but he didn't age at he's 800 years old, and all of a sudden in Empire, he's like, oh my god.
Yeah, like, wow, you're old as shit. Maybe it was like, the wear and tear on him. Like, maybe he was doing a lot of drugs just to kind of cope with the Sith taking over.
What else would you do at the Dagobah system?
No,
There's nothing there.
There's nothing to do in Dagobah but LSD. Let's all just be honest about that.
What do you think the first time he meets Luke, he's all like uppity,
He's
jumping
definitely on
around
uppers, yeah. Although, who wasn't in the 70s, Her hair is ridiculous. Like, even for her, this is too much. You could hang your fucking laundry.
There's no that much hair.
No, that's the thing. It's not even... She does not have even close to that much hair. That'd be like a 5'8" white dude buying Magnum condoms. They're like, come on, bro, you don't need those. You don't. He's like, what?
Magnum.
By the way, guys, if you look in the bottom left here, we're going to see E.T.'s species. So this takes place in the same universe as E.T., and none of that is a joke. That's true. Another IMDb fact. What is this?
Clearly, he has the floor. Like, this is insane. Like, they're... I don't know what you call these little boxes, floaty boxes. Like, that should be locked in. Like, if this guy has the floor,
That's a
like,
great
he should
point.
be allowed to just fly in.
That's a good point. Otherwise, it's what are we even doing here? It's out of control.
Everyone wants to have a say.
Yeah, like if this is an actual Senate hearing, we can't just have drunk people barging in the room. What are you guys talking about? Like, shut up, Malice there. I don't know. I know Naboo. Shut up. Who is this motherfucker?
They're on vacation once in my life.
It was lovely.
What is so bad about sending a commission to see if they're lying or telling the truth?
Yeah, I agree. I don't really think... Like, if you're actually invaded, be like, okay, fucking go. Like, think how many battle droids they have there. They can't just fucking put those in, like, a garage and hide them.
I mean, it would take literally with light speed, it would literally take about 25 minutes and be like, oh, hey, yeah, there's thousands of droids on that planet. We'll be right back.
The guy beside him, like, really needs to put something on his ears because they're infected. They're, like, fucking huge. The guy with the horns, the blue guy.
He's fine. Just get some fucking penicillin. He's good. Some antibiotics. Her lips are chapped. It's really bothering me.
So is that Keira Knightley?
Hang on. There's the Wookiees. We're going to get E.T. here in a second. Hang on. Who are those fat fucks?
I mean, they were ugly as shit.
That guy has to be in Game of Thrones, I think. Maybe not.
Wait, guys, this may be one of the actual non-CGI shots. This looks like a practical set.
Or the background, though.
Okay, now, yeah. You're a good point.
Yeah.
Wait, this wasn't actually filmed on Coruscant?
Actually, this might be a screensaver. Like, look how big the sun is. How is that planet not on fire?
Yeah, the sun is like 8 inches from this planet. It'd be either on fire or 1,000 degrees.
There's a lot of people getting skin cancer on this fucking planet for sure.
This black Jedi Knight, the chick behind Anakin, looks so bored. She's like, I don't even get to do the test. They don't even fucking listen to me. That one.
Like, I love how he aced it, and then they just... Yeah, you're still not good because you're scared.
The wrinkled cone head dude has always annoyed me, this guy. He's such a little bitch.
Like, oh, what a jackass child. He misses his mom. Fuck you.
Yeah, wow, we ripped this
We
ripped this 8-year-old from his home 15 minutes ago. How dare you miss your mom? You're gonna be
Yeah, but the Sith are the bad ones.
You're gonna be fucking evil. He's like, I don't really think there's any logic in what you just said.
The Sith would be like, hell yeah, you miss your mom. That's natural. Don't fight that.
Exactly. Now if that's wrong, then I don't want to be right.
Man, I'm all about the Sith.
The Sith have it figured out, bro. And it's actually not that hard of an argument to make in their favor.
One of my favorite quotes, and I think it was episode 2 or 3 when... no, I think it was this one maybe, whenever Mace Windu says, isn't he supposed to bring balance to the Force? And then Yoda says, misread.
The prophecy may be.
Yeah, that was really cool. It's like, maybe it's not that Skywalker, maybe it's another one.
But can we talk about this, though?
Cool.
Balance in the Force, right? Making an equal number of Sith and Jedi, wouldn't that be balance?
Oh, no, to them, it's killing all the Sith.
Yeah, it's them probably is them actually winning, which isn't balanced at all. But yeah,
balanced,
I see where you're going.
So, like, if I'm someone Yoda, I'd be like, hey, Yoda, have you actually fucking thought about what balance is? Like, think about a balance beam. It's not one side of the beam murders the other beam. Dude, Ian McDiarmid was just crushing pussy back then. Like, it's unreal. Look at his...
Still crushing pussy.
That's true.
But I'm going to go back and I'm going to disagree with Jake Lloyd. I think Palpatine does the best in this movie.
See, I would agree with you, except whenever he's the Emperor and he's the hologram, I have no clue why he has so much power over everyone.
But that's not his acting. That's like the script not making sense.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
his fault.
He does great in this. Yeah, he does.
And to your point, Geiger, telling Jake
he
Lloyd...
was the most important character for me, being a Darkseid fan, that I was really disappointed throughout, that I'm like, man, I just don't get this at all. You're not showing me how... I wish that he was kind of like, I don't support this at all, but kind of like a Hitler, like he failed at a bunch of stuff and then he got his calling and kind of rose to fame slowly, not, oh, he's a senator. He's always had power. I wish that he would have kind of gained it throughout.
Because we kind of discussed like why we were disappointed in the prequels because they had so much potential. Is it that we view it as these are just not that good of movies, or is it that we view it as this had so much bigger potential they just didn't hit the mark?
I think it's the second one. Like if this movie was...
didn't tell the story that well.
But like if this movie was independent of Star Wars, I really don't think it would be as maligned as it is. It's very difficult. And part of it is because George Lucas was behind it. If it was like a new director, you'd be like, all right, bro, like what are you going to do?
If this was a movie on itself, I think it would have never, ever got a good ovation, because there's still some Star Wars fans out there that think it's good just because it's Star Wars.
Right.
The acting in this is terrible simply because the lines are written terrible, the directing is terrible, it's all CGI, all green screen, there's no actual sets, the story's jumbled, it's a kids movie, but then it's about fucking politics, there's no clear direction, there's no main character. The main villain, we have no clue who he is. Darth Maul says 2 lines through the whole movie and then dies.
3 lines. Jesus.
And the Emperor is just fucking there, and you don't even know why he has power at all. If this movie wasn't a Star Wars movie, it probably would be down there with Batman and Robin. I kid you not, with one of the worst fucking movies ever. The only reason it's up there is because it's a Star Wars movie, and you have to see it to kind of understand what's happening through the rest of them.
I wouldn't say this has like as comically bad lines.
Yeah, it's not as bad as Batman and Robin.
No, well, I mean, it has 2 actors from Jingle All the Way. We got Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then we got our boy Jake Lloyd. So I'm just saying that
we don't have
the reason it's a Star Wars movie, it goes from a 60% probably on Rotten Tomatoes to a 75 just because it's a Star Wars movie. So it's a very jumbled up mess.
To shift gears,
I don't blame the actors at all.
To shift gears a lot here, but because we're doing this all to lead up to Rogue One, I want to bring up something about the plot to that movie and a massive quote-unquote plot hole in the Star Wars universe that I think is going to not only be addressed, but completely corrected. And like it's going to blow people's minds the actual plot significance that this has. So, in Star Wars A New Hope, when the rebels destroy the Death Star, what's the one thing everyone always says about that? Like, oh, well, like, da-da-da-da. And this is not scripted. What do you guys think people always say about when the rebels blow up the Death Star?
They always do it?
Well, no, they're like, well, there's that one little hole that they just had to shoot. Like, how convenient.
Yeah, it's indestructible, except there's this one little thing if somebody of great power can,
Right, it's like they put plywood over it. So the plot to Rogue One is Galen Erso, played by Mads Mikkelsen, designs the Death Star. And he realizes after he builds it, almost like the person who designed the atomic bomb, like, holy shit, I just built something that I didn't know, but this is going to be used for awful means. They're going to use this to blow up planets, to kill millions of people. That's not what I meant to do. So I think that it would be really cool in Rogue One, and a lot of people have speculated this is not my theory, but the hole in the trench on the Death Star was purposely built by Galen Erso as a means for the rebels to destroy it, because he realizes, I'm building this awful weapon. If I make some massive hole that's really easy to destroy it, they'll never take these plans and build the Death Star. So he secretly puts a small port in the trench that can blow it up as a means to basically stop his own creation when it gets out of control. What do you guys think about that?
I think I'm supposed to be surprised by that. That's a basic plot hole that should happen, because if not, why the fuck we seeing the movie?
Well, no, the whole movie could be about them stealing the plans of the Death Star, how many people died. Galen Erso's manipulated by the Empire. They take his daughter, they take his wife. Saw Gerrera starts the rebellion. Like, that's the story. But I'm saying the plot hole, quote-unquote, in A New Hope is, oh, this massive base has this one small hole you can fucking blow up. What if they tie that into, like, Galen
They are going to
Erso's...
tie it in. I'll tell you that going in, they're going to tie it in, because if not, there's no fucking point in making this movie. And that's my big problem. I'm going to blog about this later on our broforsquad.com, just because I have a problem with Star Wars making a movie every fucking summer. I do, man, or winter, or wherever the fuck they're going to do them. It used to be like the Olympics. It was every 4 years, and you got ready for it. And now they're just making movies just to make movies. A Han Solo movie, they're going to make a
comic book movies, and now Harry Potter.
Yeah, and comic book movies,
people
seriously,
are going to
chill out.
so why?
You know why? And I hate to be the old man. I'm not. I'm 27 years old, but I hate to be the old man. It's like, man, back in my day, movies were better, and they were, because they took time to do it. The Dark Knight trilogy took 4 years between each movie. The original Star Wars took 4 years in between each movie. You need to chill out and get the story right, because you can rush CGI, you can rush this, you can rush that, you can rush production, but you can't rush a good story. It has to happen. It has to happen organically. And that's why a bunch of these movies suck. That's why I think, I don't know if Rogue One's going to be that good. I hate to burst your bubble.
I agree 100%. The problem the movie studios don't give a shit. They're going to make, if they have a choice of making $300 million, I mean, they're making more than $300 million. You're making $1 billion a year for decently good movies, or making $1 billion every 3 years for great movies. They're going to choose $1 billion a year for decently good movies. I wish it was that way, but until people stop going.
I get that they want to kind of do origins, and I'm for that. I just think they're rushing it. And the origins they're doing, I really don't want to see. I don't want to see a Han Solo origin movie, man. It's going to be like Van Wilder when that one dude just did everything Ryan Reynolds did, and we thought it was stupid. I would love a Darth Sidious fucking origin story. If you're going to give me an origin story, give me that. I would love to fucking see that. But other than that, just try to get your episodes 7, 8, and 9 correct.
That's why I'm excited about Fantastic Beasts on Friday, because it's like 80 years before the Harry Potter. Like, you know, they're not trying to do an immediate prequel. They're just like making their own story in the world, but it's not an origin story. It's just a different story that exists. So I'm more excited about that than I would be, to your point, for other
Geiger.
Titles.
Prequels are cool. You know, future shit's cool. It's all cool, but make sure you have a good story to support it, and it needs to connect. So, yeah, if Rogue One doesn't go to tie it all back to your point, Jeff, if Rogue One doesn't go all that, I'm going to be pretty pissed leaving it, because I'm like, wow, I said tie it into original. Do something.
I mean,
we're at the point of no return. Until the people stop going,
exactly.
They're not going to stop. It's Star Wars, comic book movies, you name it.
I mean, you would have had a good point until you made fun of Van Wilder freshman year, which is a masterpiece, so you just fucking lost me at that point.
What's that guy doing now?
Probably eating.
I guarantee you he's serving Jake Lloyd his drink tonight. He's the bartender, and Jake Lloyd
There's no bartender in prison.
At Blockbuster.
By the way, Keira Knightley, once again, Natalie Portman stepping on her fucking toes.
Keira Knightley's probably had a better career than Natalie Portman, hasn't she?
It's arguable at this point. And also, I echo Boss Nass's question. Who said this? Who said this? That sounded exactly like... Did you do the sound effect for the movie?
I actually have been wanting to tell you guys that for a while.
I was going to say, were you practicing that all week, knowing that this was going to happen?
I've been practicing that since I saw this movie as an 11-year-old.
That would actually be defensible. Like, an 11-year-old should be doing stupid shit like that.
No, I beg you to help us.
No, we beg you. God, Jesus Christ.
Like, can you... Our fate is in your hands.
I don't know if any of you guys have seen Growing Pains, but I honestly, every time I see this movie, I think Jake Lloyd looks like a really young Leo DiCaprio.
Wow.
Don't insult Leo right now.
Talk about a fork in the fucking road if that's the case. Like,
Leo is a god. He's just... Man, first you insult like the N64, now Leo DiCaprio.
Yeah, you check yourself before you wreck yourself.
So this whole time they're doing facial expressions to nothing. They're just looking at a screen.
Yeah.
Let's just keep that in mind.
Yippee!
I'm actually surprised after rewatching this, and I'm not being sarcastic here, that there are 11 minutes in this movie with no digital shot in them, because we've found it hard to find one of more than 5 consecutive seconds.
I have to think it has to be when they were on Tatooine and they just filmed in a desert. Like individual shots.
Yeah, I just feel like, yeah, that's true. I feel like most of those scenes, though, either Jar Jar was in them or like a pod racer or Watto. Like, that's one. There's like 4 seconds, 5 seconds. Okay. Actually, this is probably where we get the majority of it right here.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
The whole Gungans, it was just a huge misfire. I think we can all agree.
Yeah, unanimously agree. I think. Yeah, a misfire is a huge understatement.
Although Geiger,
Fucking catastrophe.
We've talked about this off pod a lot, but the way that, and you don't see much of it at all, only the beginning scene, but the way Gungan City looks, is that kind of how you would like Atlantis to be portrayed in the Aquaman movie?
I don't ever want to say that I want my boy Jason Momoa to ever be connected to anything that this terrible director would ever do in a prequel, but yeah, it does kind of.
Just visually, that's it.
Maybe.
I mean, James Wan is going to do what he's going to do. He's going to crush it. But the way that the city is like inside, yet it's still underwater and has that aesthetic.
I don't want to get too much DC. I think his biggest thing is underwater. What is he going to do when people talk? Are bubbles going to come out of their mouth? Like, what's going to fucking happen?
That's the thing. If they make Atlantis like this, then it can be treated like a normal set, like a normal movie, which I think they need to do. I love Captain Panaka, Padme's guard, the guy just talking. He's a badass, and he's a straight shooter. He'll tell you, like, we're all going to die if we do that. Like, I'll just be honest with you.
Now, Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor weren't really in anything big before this. Honestly, Liam Neeson, I don't think... I mean, he was in some roles after this, but his big role was in Batman Begins.
Yeah, I think Ewan McGregor was really only in, like, Train Spotting, because even, like, Moulin Rouge was after this.
Yeah.
By, like, a year or two.
These really made it. Once again, like I said, is everyone says, oh, Star Wars makes actors. I said, I'll disagree. Usually the actors they have in there are like their 6 choices just because big actors are like, man, I don't want anything to do with this. Just because they know fans will fucking destroy them if they don't like it.
Yeah, and it's weird because, like, these are blockbuster movies, and that's why, like, even Harry Potter kind of did this. Yeah, they had, like, a lot of really, really big British actors show up in it, but, like, all the kids who showed up were complete, at least to my knowledge, new actors when it started, and, like, let them grow into the role.
Efron was up for Kylo Ren, right? Efron was up for Kylo Ren?
Yeah, but, I mean, and they said Gosling was too, but I don't know how serious...
I'm wondering who turned them down, because I could see both of them turning them down and be like, you know what, no.
Cycly, was Train Spotting for Ewan McGregor before this movie?
Yeah, I think that was like 97.
Was that like his first big United or like American movie?
I think it was his like first major motion picture. I know I say major, like...
They tried so hard to make this fight like Return of the Jedi, and they failed miserably, by the way.
Yeah, it's just tough because, like, at least for me, I'm like, I hate the Gungans. Like, seeing them die, this may sound really callous, but I just, like, don't really care. But this battle is just a distraction.
The fact is, Return of the Jedi actually has some humans in it. This is all CGI. This whole thing never really actually happened, if you can kind of wrap your head around this. It's all done on green screen computer and shit like that. In Return of the Jedi, Leia and Han and stuff are actually shooting at people.
Yeah, like everything on Endor that's like real.
Yeah.
All the Naboo stuff I read was filmed in some like Italian palace. Which don't even want to fucking know how expensive that was to rent out.
Wait, so it wasn't on scene in Naboo? Like they filmed it off location?
Well, no, obviously, like all the like Naboo stuff was on Naboo, but like the not, you know what I'm saying? I don't have to,
It's like how cheap are they going to be? If
exactly.
Naboo?
Like how many corners do we want to cut?
I know stormtroopers were kind of blah in the original, but at least they held some, context. These fucking Java Walker guy fucking computer dudes that they fucking kill suck.
Stormtroopers couldn't shoot, but they were still formidable. Like the scene where Han is in the detention bay in the first Star Wars, and they figure out that it's not a stormtrooper.
Well, they're humans too. They're humans. These guys, like, what if there's a power outage? You win.
That's droidism, and that's disgusting.
You can take the whole country. There's a power outage. All our droids are down.
Can we go back to my point of how do you choose a droid leader? I mean, like, I'm still stuck on that.
No, it's a great point. And if Banner were here, we all remember how stuck Banner got on the Han Yans thing. I think he would be just as confused by this.
Oh my God. He still wakes up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, just wondering, who was
on my soccer team in the middle of the game.
He just doesn't understand.
Wait, Cycles, tell that story again.
Oh, in the middle of he plays on my outdoor intramural soccer team, and he'll just yell out in the middle of the game, yawns and hans. Speaking of, I know he's not here, but Bruce Banner scored his first career soccer goal. I don't know if he told you guys, announced this on the podcast.
What was it, like a header? Was it It was a header?
A header. I'm not joking. He got punched in the face by the goalie while scoring the header.
But having played sports
with his shirt off and run around afterwards.
Having played sports with Banner,
was pissed. He was screaming, fuck you, you punched me in the face, fuck you. I'm not, that's probably an exact quote.
I believe he did that. Having played many sports with Banner, he's the type of guy that will literally have a broken leg, be bleeding on the field, and be like, let's go! He's an absolute animal.
This was a hell of a game. We were down 3-0 and came back and took the lead 4-3.
He's the guy that's not the best player on the team, but he's the emotional leader.
Absolutely.
He emotionally leads everyone.
He's the guy who, like...
It was his fourth soccer game ever.
It's like Monday, and he's making copies. Impressive. It's Monday. The game's Thursday. He's making copies at his fucking office copy machine. He's like, got a big one Thursday. Like, what the fuck? It's Monday.
Thursday.
What are you talking about?
Got to train accordingly.
This is a cool shot.
So next time you guys talk about the podcast, congratulate him.
We'll have to do that. I like this scene. Like early on, before it gets like comical with Jar Jar. I never understood. Here's the thing. There's a lot of technology and things we see in the prequels that just don't show up in the originals. And granted, of course, they're made like in a weird way where technology was more advanced for the movies that supposedly take place before the originals. But like these balls, if this showed up in Empire, we would have been so confused. Even at the time, like, what the hell is this?
That's the worst weapon. That gets one person at a time.
Exactly. Even the big ones, like how expensive is one of those big balls to make?
Not worth the effect they have. That's all right. Here we go. I mean, it doesn't. I will say this: as bad as this movie can be, this is better than that. This music, by far, the best music in every Star Wars film.
Duel of the Fates. Brian Banner would be rolling over in his grave.
Somewhere if we didn't Banner has a boner right now, and he knows why, because someone's playing Episode 1, and the score just came on.
English is a big fan of the scores too. We always talk about it for Westworld, how great it is. By the way, Cycler, are you watching Westworld?
I am.
You are?
I am. It's incredible.
You have to come on one of our pods soon to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm on Episode 3 right now.
I have not watched the most recent one. So.
Oh my God! After you watch it, listen to our review and then come on the next one next week. We need a new.
But I'm pretty sure I watched the first 5 in a day.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Hey guys, whenever this came out, didn't the soundtrack come out before the movie? And wasn't this called like the death of
Qui-Gon's Noble End? Cycling, go.
I bought the soundtrack because of this scene, or the last 20 minutes of this movie. And I remember buying the soundtrack as a 12-year-old. It was one of the first CDs I bought. And I was so mad that it was like the very last track, but it wasn't just the last track. It was like 3 minutes into the last track. And I was so upset. I thought it would be the first, it wasn't on there. I was so mad that it wasn't like the major big deal of the whole CD.
Duel of the
Very
Fates
yes.
is. Do we know if John Williams did the score to this? We should probably look it up. But like, this is incredible.
If he did, whoever did, this is, and not just Star Wars movies, in all movies, maybe one of the best, just, music companies.
Incredible. I'm gonna look it up right now.
So is Darth Maul arguably the greatest power ever? Because he's not a Sith Lord yet. He can take care of 2 Jedis.
It's not close. Like, they have every advantage possible, and he's handling it full time.
By the way, this is John Williams once again, of course.
This scene here, though, saves the entire movie for sure. That fight scene.
100%.
I always appreciate, and this is like Lucas doing what he does best in Jedi. It's always good when there's multiple battles going on, because like there's a little something for everybody.
Yeah.
Like we have the ground battle between the Gungans and the droids, and the same thing happening with Panaka and Amidala, and then the space battle, and then obviously the Jedi lightsaber battle. It's just fucking awesome.
Jedi's so awesome in that Return of the Jedi because, of course, it's Luke versus Vader, and then the whole time it goes back to like the Wookiees and everything. You're like, God, I kind of care about this, but can you throw it back to Luke and Vader? It's just such a perfect tease. That whole ending scene.
The great thing about the Luke battle is it's probably 90% mental and 10% actual lightsabers, but that makes you so much more invested in it. Because I'm totally with
battle, if you really think about it, the first time they actually match lightsabers and you see the Emperor in the background just smiling.
Yeah.
Because this is like his tuition coming true. Is it probably lasts like 50 minutes because it cuts back and forth and everything. It's fucking awesome.
And I'm definitely with you. Like, the stuff on Endor is awesome, and the ship battle obviously is great. Where they realize that like they're going into a trap and the Millennium Falcon has to fly into the Death Star. But yeah, like it's so captivating, the dialogue and what's happening with Luke, Vader, and the Emperor, that the whole time you're like, this is cool, but like what's happening with them? You know, like.
I want to like bring up a point because, like I said, I watched the originals the last few days, and I think something that I noticed that makes the originals so great is like we talk about the storyline, Geiger. You were talking about, it's just simple story but classic. But watching the originals, there's only a few scenes in each of the movies if you really think about it.
Yeah,
like think about
it's like Tarantino.
Like there's only like 5 or 6 scenes in the entire movie. Now think about the prequels.
Ugh.
I mean, there's something going. They're moving nonstop.
Hundreds of scenes.
Like in New Hope and Empire, and Return, there's 3 or 4 locations total. And I don't know if that's what makes it. I mean, simplicity
really
is sometimes better.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I can pick from the originals. Like you touched on, there's just scenes that you take from the originals, like Luke losing his hand and finding out Vader's his father. The Return of the Jedi when their lightsabers finally crash, and the Emperor smiles and stuff like that. Vader torturing Han Solo is still one of my favorite scenes when Han's like, he didn't even ask me any questions, he just tortured me. From the prequels, though, I can't, besides making a joke of it, I can't really take away any scenes where I'm like, oh, that's symbolic, that's really cool, which is just so sad, and the dialogue has a lot to do with it. In the originals, the dialogue was pretty good, actually.
Yeah, it was.
It's a lot of good dialogue. And this is terrible.
But the scenes that are iconic in the prequels are scenes we make fun of. Like Jeff was saying, Anakin, you're breaking my heart.
Yeah.
You're going down a path I cannot follow. That's like iconic for the wrong reasons.
Cycling, I was telling Geiger that what's my most quoted line that I always like yell from the third one.
Your new empire.
Your new empire.
Your new empire.
To the Republic. To democracy.
To democracy. This scene, maybe one of you guys can explain this.
What the hell is this stuff? I still don't understand.
I was going to say, I still don't know what the fuck is going on. What even is this?
Why do they have little shield walls randomly opening and closing?
I have no idea.
Why does he go down on his knees? He's like, I'll just wait, I guess.
Like, what is the purpose of this room in general? What does it even do?
I've never had an explanation why, okay, fine, they're protecting something. But why do they open every 10 seconds?
It makes no sense. It literally, It makes no sense. And anyone who's defending it, like, they even know that they're up against the 8 ball. They're like,
What if he just got out his phone right there and just kind of checked his Twitter for a little bit? He's like, well, while I'm here.
Mesa gonna retweet. Yeah, Yusa is.
After we're done, I'm gonna look that up. Like, what is that supposed to be?
Yeah, text me what you find, because I'm with you. Like, I've yet to hear an actual explanation.
Why would Darth Maul want it? That's the thing.
It's
He's very athletic. He wants to. I mean, he's the guy he's worked hard at the gym. He wants to wear him down because they're not as in shape as he is.
I don't want to say this because it's discrediting Lucas, but it almost is like the ultimate plot convenience as a way to isolate Obi-Wan from Qui-Gon to die.
I mean, that's all it is. That's 100% what it is.
Yeah, that really is what it is.
Yeah, but you don't need 8 walls to do it. Just fucking isolate Obi-Wan, not the other 2.
I don't know. I think Lucas needed 8 walls.
He could have just fallen down and hurt his ankle.
There you go.
Like, I mean,
wouldn't you just love for a fan to actually conduct an interview with him and just ask him why on so many of these decisions he made from episode 1 through 3?
Lucas would have to feel like the camera wasn't even on him, because I don't think he would answer the questions. They win this round, is I think what she says. Yeah.
See, at what point do the droids have their own Matrix and they rebel against their creators? Yeah, I want to watch that movie.
That's a movie I would definitely go see.
They serve whoever created.
Talking about loose ends, there's a lot of characters in these that don't die, don't do anything, and so when you watch the originals, you're like, Jar Jar never died. Where the fuck is he during the originals? If he had so much to do with the Rebels.
I know where he is, but we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna find out where the actor of Jar Jar Binks went after this, because he was fucking red hot. He could have had a ton of roles, but maybe something off screen happened that really got in the way of his career.
He was ice hot, if you know what I mean.
Like 98 Degrees.
Further.
Ice hot. I'm gonna start saying that and see who corrects me. Like, that's not.
Not a good time to meditate, Qui-Gon. Oh, hey, these random doors open for some reason, but will close again.
I just don't. It ruined it all for me on that when you just kind of meditating and stuff.
Yeah, this is when, like, you know it's about to happen. Do you think Darth Maul flosses? I thought that was such a cool. That was such a.
That's
cool
another reason
move.
I couldn't be a Jedi. Jedi floss. That takes too much work.
Yeah, that's way too long. That was such a cool move, though. The hit in face and then stab through the stomach.
I mean, Darth Maul's incredible. Oh, you're telling me the Jedi don't use anger? It looks like Obi-Wan is a little angry there.
Yeah, 100.
Luke
like
turned to the dark side on Return of the Jedi, by the way. He was dressed all in black and
absolutely.
He used anger the whole time.
He might have just been going to a Marilyn Manson concert, though.
Well, when your dad doesn't understand you.
Only Marilyn Manson gets you, not your dad.
And Bullet for My Valentine, they get me too.
And maybe a little bit of My Chemical Romance, but that's about it.
I really want to find my I Hate Good Charlotte shirt right now.
You weren't allowed to wear that at school, right? They got mad. No, you said it said Good Charlotte sucks, right? You wrote sucks.
Oh yeah,
on
that's what it was. Good Charlotte sucks.
Geiger Cycly
is an imposter.
Cycly bought a Good Charlotte shirt and he wrote sucks on it and wore it to school like freshman year of high school, and they made him take it off.
My ex-girlfriend bought me that shirt.
Must have been, so your teachers must have been some 41 fans.
That's what we said, right?
Hey, I was such a rebel, man. I would call people posers.
This one is a decoy.
Darth Maul is just a savage. Like, let's just give credit where credit's due.
Like, neither of them are even swinging for the body here. Like, they're just waving their lightsabers around.
These fight scenes are fantastic. I mean, come on. These are really fucking well done.
Yeah, these are incredible.
And I love the function of that dual lightsaber. Like, it can get cut in half but still work.
Yeah, that
he
is
was
pretty
made
cool.
for that to happen. Like, buy a dual saber lightsaber. Yeah, you'll probably get it cut in half, but don't worry, it will continue to work.
Do you think it's easier for Darth Maul to fight him with the double-edged lightsaber one-on-one or with the single? Because the double-edge doesn't really seem as advantageous to fight one-on-one.
I mean, it changes the game for him. Why do you think Obi-Wan was successful here?
That's a good point.
We better get some of this from Rogue One because Vader was very mechanical and slow during the originals. We better get an athletic Vader, not like Darth Maul athletic, but something where he just fucking destroys the people in Rogue One, man.
Yeah,
because
but the volcano on Mustafar that like affected that, or
yeah, that's
I
a
guess
good
you could
question.
argue that.
I've heard the quote, and I don't know who this was from on production, but that in Rogue One we see Vader in his prime, is what they said, at least for a brief moment.
we need to see that. Because I don't believe that Vader could defeat Darth Maul at all. And Vader's supposed to be the most powerful Sith Lord ever.
But Cyclade has a good point. Like on Mustafar, he's basically ripped into like half human. He loses almost half of his limbs.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, but it's Star Wars.
I think also
It's
like
robots.
all those droid parts to like hook him up.
Like that CGI looks really good to me.
The only part I love about this with Anakin is that it really proves in the original when Han Solo kind of goes racing or whatever, and then Vader actually, or Luke, sorry, and then Vader actually gets in a pod and follows him. It shows why Vader is such a fucking good pilot.
That's true. Well, in the books, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was that Vader was, or Anakin, however you want to define him, was never that good of a swordsman. He was always the greatest pilot and just closer to the Force.
Oh yeah.
But he never was the true lightsaber skill.
Yeah, he always I feel like he always just won fights because of his anger, because he tapped into the dark side.
Yeah. But because I remember reading the books and that was something they talked about, but maybe I'm not remembering correctly. And Darth Maul wasted away right there.
Well, not if you watch Clone Wars on Disney XD.
Which none of us do.
Is that on Netflix? Maybe I'll check it out.
I think the movie.
That's such a Harley Quinn move. Like, oh, you like that? Okay, we'll give you more of it then. You don't even know what good characters you have. He is the chosen one.
Because of Obi-Wan.
Man, Qui-Gon. I like the guy a lot, Only no one has a bad thing to say about Qui-Gon.
Team player. He was the first Jedi there and the last to leave.
Last to leave, first one in the Jedi Council, last one to exit every night.
Like, why did these guys die?
He was a coach's son, did all the little things right.
Viceroy somehow, they escaped arrest and were they got to go. And we see them in the second movie still doing the same shit. Why did they hold them?
First time you invade a planet, Cycly, it's just a slap on the wrist.
Why did they give up the Emperor?
Yeah, that's a good point. Those guys got played pretty hard.
Well, I don't think they knew who Palpatine. That shows how dumb they are. I don't think they realized that was the same guy.
They could have given up the Emperor and said...
No, but he's not the Emperor yet.
They don't think it's going to be, hey, there's a guy who's ordering us around.
Yeah, they could pin on a guy and give a little more to his origin that I have no fucking clue about still.
But that's the thing. It's how far back do you want to go here?
I just want to see how the Emperor got so much fucking power over people. What did he promise them?
Well, literally all he had here was 2 viceroys. That's all he had.
Could it not have been, we see the Jedi mind tricks all the time. I mean, if Sith are allowed to go deeper into the Force, what were they using on weak souls?
I still like the sex tape theory.
But show me that. Don't fucking tell me.
You want to see the sex tape?
No, the whole thing about the Emperor, man. I wanted. That's what I was so interested in these prequels is how did he gain his power? Why is everyone so scared of him? We'll do whatever. And the first scene, he just shows up in a hologram. It's like, you must kill the Jedi.
No, and
I'm like, okay, what the fuck?
Geiger, I get
understand.
that. But showing you his power is literally what they do in the 3 movies. The only thing you don't see is how he gets the Viceroy to work for him. And sure, they could go back and show
That's
that.
what I want to see.
But like,
I
how far?
I don't feel like I got to see as much of like why Anakin was obsessed with him.
That's what I want
Like-
to see more of. Yeah.
Like, where was that connection? Everyone always talked about it, but that was all off screen.
Yeah.
You know, the power is the power. I want to see how people have, flocked toward him. And, I guess I'm interested in, I watch documentaries on, like, cults and stuff and why would somebody actually follow this maniac? That's what I was interested in the prequels. They didn't give me any of that.
Sex tape. Again, we keep coming back to this.
I mean, that's an obvious one, but I think you're pointing the podcast to look at all, possibilities.
No, you're right, and I hate to admit it, but you're right.
Like, everyone listening knows.
I mean, if that's not foreshadowing, I don't
really
know what
want
is.
Finn to be some relation of Mace Windu,
But
though.
now we do shots on Naboo.
I mean, this country was just invaded and millions of people died, and they have, like, the fun sort of way to have a massive parade. And good for them. They don't want to put that money to, like, restoring all the things that were destroyed.
No, we spent all the money on this light globe thing.
It's $10 trillion, but well worth it.
Yeah, the Prince Ali Ababa parade that they're having.
That is exactly what this is.
That is what this is.
Oh, that guy is.
Did you think about, like, that guy to the right of Yoda was probably in makeup for 8 hours, and he's on screen for 4 seconds.
Actually, that's what he looks like.
Oh, well, my apologies. That's a rough life to live.
Like, what does that even do? Like, you can go to, like, Spencer's and buy that, like, electronic sphere that, like, has electrodes going into your fingers.
And that's
not
probably where she got it, but the Gungans don't know.
I mean, they manipulated the Gungans. Like, oh, look how cool this is.
Written and directed by George Lucas, and that is the problem.
Get it. Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, at least we know one place to put our blame. Makes it easier.
All right, guys, that is Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. We are the Bro Force Squad, if you're still with us. You're disgusting, and we are so glad to have you, as always. As we typically do after our movie commentaries, we like to do a little outside of the box, a little projections, a little thinking, give you something that you're not going to get on a normal podcast. And I thought that we could all offer some insight into... So we know that this film, there was a young actor named Jar Jar Binks who came into it, cast in a big role, a guy that a lot of people had their eye on, who was an up-and-comer, a big-time prospect. And when this movie did not pan out the way a lot of people thought, either did his career. So I think it would just make sense for us to both kind of prognosticate and say, let's say this movie was a hit. Let's say people fucking loved it. Where would this hot young actor named Jar Jar Binks be today? And what would have happened with his career? So not to put you on the hot seat, but Geiger, gotta hear from you, because you're usually the best at predicting where people are going to be going when they're scorching fire hot. What would have happened to Jar Jar Binks after this film if it went well?
This is a great question, Jeff, and thank you for asking. And I think I know exactly where Jar Jar is right now. There's a lot of actors that were hot at a certain point of time, and, drugs and hookers and beer kind of took them down. Mickey Rourke comes to mind, Robert Downey Jr. comes to mind, but they found a way to circle the wagons, if you will, and Jar Jar is going to do the same thing. It's been very tough for him after the prequels. Everyone blames them. If they won't blame George Lucas because they have too much respect for him, they'll blame Jar Jar on why the fucking prequels suck so
Easy
fucking
target,
bad.
It's disgusting.
And Jar Jar right now is probably addicted to heroin, hopefully, and is just trying to find his way in the life. But this is what I think is going to happen. And Marvel is a breeding ground for giving actors a second chance. So, in Iron Man 4, Jar Jar Binks is going to show up as the real Mandarin. And is going to take on Tony Stark. And it's going to be a great battle, and Jeff Hornacek's going to love it because the real Mandarin will finally stand up, and it'll be Jar Jar Binks versus Robert Downey Jr. in the battle to end all battles. And that'll catapult his movie career just like it did Robert Downey Jr.'s. And then he'll probably star in some other movie. I could see him as being the Rabbit in Who Framed Roger Rabbit if they ever redo that one. That would be a good one for him.
Ooh, that would be a good role.
Yeah.
All right, Cycly.
That's where I see Jar Jar Binks.
I mean, that seems pretty accurate. Cycly.
You know, I'm not so negative. I think Jar Jar actually had a decent career after this. I mean, we saw him star as Carrie in Sex and the City. And, I think he did a really good job. Just saying, he's been in a few movies, been in a few HBO shows. I think I'm proud of him. I mean, honestly, he's had his own thing, and it's great.
I didn't even realize he was Carrie. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, they look pretty similar.
No, he is.
There's a lot of people about to rewatch Sex and the City now.
IMDb, it says Carrie played by Jar Jar Binks. So that checks out.
I mean, I'm proud of him. He did a good job. He told a different story. It was a story of independence. I think he wanted to show that character. He depended a lot on people in this one, and he went on to be a writer, and that's great.
So
proud of him.
That's pretty tough to top. I have Jar Jar Binks. Again, if this would have gone well, we would have had a quick marriage to Penelope Cruz. Obviously, Jar Jar and Penelope arm in arm on the red carpet. That would have fizzled out rather quickly, and then he would have gone behind the camera, I think, do a couple documentaries, but then he would come back in the Friends reunion movie, and he's going to play Joey's brother. I don't fucking know. I mean, look, the guy has immeasurable talent. How do you even contain him? I think the main thing is he would be married to Penelope Cruz, because seeing them arm in arm in the red carpet, something just feels right about that. You know, they look like they belong together.
I would love to see him in a superhero movie. I would love him to be in a Fox movie. I don't think DC could handle him. He's too good of an actor.
Yeah,
but
they'd leave him on the cutting room floor.
To be the Mandarin, or maybe he could be like the new Cyclops because he has cool eyes.
That'd be cool.
You know?
I could see him in DC as maybe like a Martian Manhunter type role he could play.
He shouldn't be in DC at all.
He should be in the new Space Jam movie.
Who would he play in that? Is he the basketball player?
In one of the Monstars? Or
he'd play Michael Jordan.
Jar Jar Binks
I don't think Sarah Jessica Parker's in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, she could have a cameo, I guess. So, all right, guys. Well, as we usually have, once we've completely derailed, we like to let you go. If you're still listening to us, thank you so much. We are the Bro Force Squad. Go to our website, broforcesquad.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube. And follow us on Twitter, Bro Force Squad, 3 words. Thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you next time. We're probably going to do Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Again, if you are a disgusting individual, you will listen and join us then. Until next time, take care, and God bless.